Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the last episode of the Dominoes timeline. I'm going to have to squeeze in the complete rest of the timeline. Today's date is 3/26/26, and I say that intentionally. We are in the midst of right at the point where we have to be careful moving forward on what we say. I'm sure you can read between the lines. And as of today, I am free and able to say whatever I want. But moving forward, I would like to be a little more cautious on how I approach things. So I figured I would just dump all of the rest of this on you, and you can choose to listen to the whole damn thing or not, but it will forever be living online, and there's nothing the city of Rice Lake can do about that. And the fact that I have made it very clear that this is, again, March 26th, 2026. I just want to make that very abundantly crystal clear. So I'm sure anybody with a brain in their head can figure out what's going on. But just to be able to not leave you completely stranded with nothing, I figured I would do this, and then moving forward, this is not the end of me. Believe me. There's just certain topics that I specifically will have to be very careful of the wording I use. And it's not even so much me per se, because I personally can't really be brought into something, but I know how shady Toni is and her little clique and these people. And so I'm just going to play it safe, but that doesn't mean I'm done. That absolutely does not mean I'm done. I am not even close to done. There's just a certain portion of stuff that I cannot talk about moving forward. So, that being said, today we're going to just hammer through the rest of the timeline. I'm going to go as fast as I can, and I'm going to try to squeeze everything in. I'm going to be dumping this timeline on Facebook. I'm going to be putting up videos, everything that I possibly can today. So then moving forward, it just lives there. And if you want to go back and you want to review it, that's fine. So we're going to get right into it. I'm not even going to do an intro. It's going to be way too long anyway. So let's just go. We were ready to go into May of 2024. We had just finished last episode. We talked all about April 2024. That was the first Loudermill. May of 2024, of course, Toni wants to try again. She is just this kind of person. But she went ahead and she threw another Loudermill at Justin. And this time it was like, you didn't stack the wood properly at the city park. Or I think it was like Shane had originally said for them, and by them, I mean that Justin had to work with Toni's son. And so they were grouped up to do city park stuff, and they had brought this truck there, and I can't exactly remember how it all went, but it was like they had to cut a bunch of wood or trees that had fallen in the park, and then they loaded it into the back of the truck, and they were waiting to hear from Shane, and then Shane was just like, that's not what I told you to do. They're supposed to be on the ground. So then they essentially just had to dump them on the ground. It was like they were definitely trying to intentionally cause something to be wrong. But in this, it's the perfect time, and you can hear it in the meeting that we have when I call out Toni for the fact that she tried to write Justin up. Now, she is not smart enough on the heavy equipment side. She doesn't know anything about being outdoors or hands-on or anything. So apparently, allegedly, or in my opinion, her son went home and completely lied to her, because he went home and he said that Justin I don't know why he placed blame. He would have been a lot smarter if he wouldn't have done that. But Justin got the truck stuck, and I don't know if how he said it to her. She just didn't comprehend because she doesn't know anything like this. But she said, or he told her that they had to use 4x4 to get it out. Well, she interpreted that as they had to go get a 4x4 to get it out. And so she just went ahead, believed her son, wrote Justin up for getting the truck stuck and being inefficient for having to go get a 4x4 to get it out. When the real story, if she would have just fucking asked, the real story was her son backed the truck up, got it stuck. My Justin helped to get it unstuck by just locking in the 4x4 hubs on the frickin' vehicle and got it unstuck. But she turned it into a whole thing, and she had to make it all about Justin Alshire and his inefficiency and all these things. Lo and behold, her son's a liar, or just deathly afraid of his psycho mother. And yeah, that's what happened. So anyway, so Loudermill number 2, it is all full of this kind of stuff. It is, I should just pause and let me pause and pull that up. Okay, here we are. This is Loudermill number 2, May 23rd. I kid you not, exactly a month after. And I wrote all over this, of course, not even thinking that it would be my only original. But very much about, like, you have to text your supervisor. Justin was made to, like, I kid you not, he had to text Shane if he was breathing a little fast. I mean, like, anything and everything Justin had to text or call Shane. It was absolutely absurd, and we saved a lot of the screenshots. If I didn't have to crunch all this in, I would show them. But she puts in here, if you had questions about your work assignment and the tree cutting at the park, and that's where we had text messages from Shane saying, great job, because it was really straightforward, but she just wanted to say that he messed up somehow. And then the inefficiency and disobedience in performing the tree cutting was because, again, when we get these, we're not sure. Like, she just leaves it so vague. But then that's when we found out that her son was the one that actually got it stuck. And that was all about the truck. And she tried to write Justin up on it. So, but this is where, if you remember, I wrote an email to the council. And this is when I talked about the Secret Admirer episode, when I was like, literally, they rip off all of the things that I suggest or say. When Darrel had suggested that we put the email addresses on the city website, this is where it came from. So I wrote, to whom it may concern, I'm specifically reaching out to shed light on the upcoming meeting about Justin Alshire. And this is meeting number 6. Brought on by Toni in the last 15 months. And I basically just call her out. I mean, the information prior to Toni's convoluted reasonings for her toxic behavior. I mean, she has been sick and toxic all the way back to the beginning. And so I also say, please know that I had no way of retrieving your email addresses because naturally Toni has them all blocked on the city's website to make it so she can see everything that is sent first. However, I do have a brain in my head, and I guessed the structure of the address layouts. And basically, I say that if you've received this, meaning that I made it through the gauntlet, please be sure to email it or forward it to council. So this is like right out the gate. The first one I didn't email council. This one I did. And so going back, this is where I say that I always message the council. So when Bob Quaid later tries to say that he was unaware of Darrel's actions to my family, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, and he knows it, and he's either got dementia and losing his mind, or he's playing stupid, because I have made damn sure that they knew everything that was going on. Not to mention, the day after I sent that email, Justin was working on Rudder Road specifically, which is right next to Bob Quaid's house. And Bob stops the car, asks how Justin's doing, and Justin's like, well, not very good. It's been shitty. And he goes, yeah. Or he said, Tara sent out an email, and he goes, yes, I got it. So, Bob, it ain't gonna work on me. You know what? This playing stupid and playing innocent because you really needed to get Darrel back on council. It's a crock of shit. So anyway, there is Loudermill number 2. Now, it didn't go in front of council the way the first one did. I think at this point, they're really they're putting that PIP in place with the weekly meetings, and I don't even know. I don't know if she was just trying to, stack the files like typical, but I'm pretty sure that Suzanne probably was like not wanting to be embarrassed as a city because she was probably like, whoa, we just did this, and I just said in that meeting, I don't want to be here again. Like, wait. And so she's not completely on our side yet or seeing what's happening yet, but I would assume any person with common sense would be like, didn't we just do this last month? So anyway, in July of 2024, they had nothing to talk about. They had nothing to talk about because Justin was doing so good. And that is going to show up in the unemployment later on because Toni tries to say that, in short, she tells the state of Minnesota that he was good when he was on a PIP, but the minute he got done with his PIP, he was awful again. And it's like, no, the minute he's done with PIP, you can't fabricate things because if he's checking in with you weekly, you have to tell him if you have a question about something or you want to talk about something. It's called like communication. It's called pretty normal. It's like what you're supposed to do respectfully to your employees and give them the chance to just like talk to you and know what's going on. So in that meeting, she attempted to write him up for poor handwriting on his daily logs. She was literally having him handwrite daily logs, but then she claimed that she couldn't read his handwriting, so he had to jot it all down during the day, then type it up and email it. It was ridiculous. And then in that same time frame, he was supposed to go clean the gutters at City Hall, and apparently it had rained or something. When they met with Heather, they were all sitting there, and Toni had brought up the fact that there was seeds, like helicopter seeds, like from the gutter, on the sidewalk. And she's like, but you didn't complete the job. And Justin's like, well, it rained, so like more probably came out. And she's like, no, it didn't. I checked the forecast. And then the union rep was like, stop, we're not doing this. She did a data request right then and there. And she's like, I want to see the footage. I want to see the camera footage. If you're saying you're going to sit here and call him a liar, then I want to see the footage. Sure shit. Next thing you know, eventually she had to, like, she drug her feet a little bit, but then she had to admit that it did rain. And she never apologized to him. But she had to tell Heather that, yes, it did rain. I guess I was wrong. Actually, she would probably never. I don't even know if she said she was wrong. She has a hard time saying she's wrong ever. All right, August of 2024. This is when shit gets really crazy. And I like a different level of crazy because this is where they really start going after me. And it's so obvious. So it's August 2024. The election race has begun, and the deadline was August 12th, 2024. And guess whose Life 60, which is the GPS locations that they were so hard on Justin for keeping on. Guess whose GPS was at Darrel's house at 9 a.m. on the morning of the application deadline when he was going to run for mayor? Toni. Because, city administrators need to go to council members' houses in the morning. I think it was probably a Wednesday or something. Very odd behavior. They are odd, And I'm going to say, in my opinion, I find the relationship between them very disturbing, in my opinion. And I can say that because it's my opinion. The financial meeting. So there was, on my birthday, I know, I remember it vividly because, one, I'm pregnant, so like everything's heightened in my world, my little spidey senses, and it was my birthday. So there was a special finance meeting in the conference room, and I go there because I want to see, like, I did my due diligence. I searched the agenda. I kept looking, and I was like, you know, these allegations that were in Loudermill #1 that we went through in April are signed by the assistant public works supervisor, which isn't, it doesn't say liaison, it says assistant public works supervisor Darrel Johnson. And that would be essentially a role that should be in, like, a payroll. It should be a spot. It should be in the budget. And I noticed that it wasn't. And that's why I went, because I was like, you know what? You guys can't just make up the fucking rules. That's not how this works. You're not going to just do that and think you can get away with it. Not to mention, this was the meeting where they were proposing, I don't think they approved it yet, but this was the proposal, or no, they did approve it because I have it on video. Toni got her $28,000 raise off the research that she did by herself. Like, I was blown away. She puts a list of cities up there. The infrastructure of these cities is like hundreds of years old. I mean, she had Chisholm on there, which is a freaking mining town, like well-established mining town, very different city streets, streetlights, all the things. Not even comparable to City of Rice Lake. And so anyway, she gets this $28,000 raise. And then I questioned, and I'm going to play that video here, the ridiculous presence of Darrel being at Public Works all day, all the time. It didn't make sense to me. And obviously, I know he owns his own business. I get that. So he can kind of like do whatever he wants. But the problem that I had is that I was calling out the behavior, as in, like, why is he there every day? Like, he is creating anxiety. This is not normal. Like, why is he there every day? Most of us have to go work our regular jobs to make money. And so my thought is I'm going to go to this meeting, and it's like, if he's there every day, he must be getting paid every day. So where is he in our budget that proves that he is a salaried employee or an hourly employee that's getting paid every day to be there? And that was the point I was really trying to make, because they couldn't find a spot. And then, again, I'm not trying to out Suzanne, but like, she's trying to walk that fine line, and she's trying to tell me that, like, oh, this is under their liaison duties, which makes, as a counselor, I believe they get like $8,000 a year. And this is where you can tell that they all just got so defensive they couldn't even hear what I was saying in this meeting, because they were. And I said, okay, so he's gonna go work literally at Public Works every day for $8,000 a year, and then he's like, John Werner did it. He had a lot more hours. It's like, John was retired, you dumbass. Like, John was retired, and he was the mayor, and he was, like, building the infrastructure. You're a completely different beast. Like, don't even try to compare yourself to John Werner, or try to throw in a quick backhand to, like, compliment John Werner, but try to dig at me. And then while I'm calling him out, and they're trying to say that this is under his liaison role, which is a crock of shit, because he didn't sign that letter as a liaison. He signed it as an assistant supervisor. So then I'm still kind of like in the muck of, is Shane a good guy? Is Shane not a good guy? I'm not really sure if I should defend him or not, but I call him out. I call Darrel out, and I'm like, this is a slap in the face to Shane. Like, what are you doing there every day? Does he need you to hold his hand? I mean, seriously. And then in this video, you'll see where I'm like, can you show me? And they all get defensive. And I basically imply that Darrel's there every day because he's getting his back rubbed. Oh, Jamie Heim, she loses her mind. This room is full of volunteers, or whatever she says. She's did not even remotely listen to what I said. And I was like, I wasn't talking about you. And if you actually paid attention to what I said, you'd know that I'm specifically talking about Darrel. And as I'm saying that, I'm pointing out the fact that nobody's going to volunteer or give free time like every day, all day for a full-time job. You cannot pay your mortgage without having a full-time job. You just can't do that. That's not the way life works. Oh, Mark Nemi over in the corner, Mr. Cool Guy. He's over in the corner. He's going to pipe up. And he's like, I've been volunteering for 17 to 18 years. It's like, well, first of all, you work at Minnesota Power. I didn't know that in this meeting, but I found it out after. And it's like, you're missing the fucking point. And not to mention, you get a stipend. So you're not truly a volunteer. Like, yes, there are portions that are volunteer, but I'm talking about is people who literally make $0 and are at Public Works every single freaking day. It is because they are benefiting some other way. And that is exactly what my point was. But, he's out, moving forward, Mark Nemi's going to try to be the knight in shining armor through the rest of this thing. And it's laughable because he really should just sit back and just stay out of it. So I record this. In this, Darrel says, I put the city on my back. And he says that he's trying to save my husband's job. And I'm like, my husband's job wouldn't be in jeopardy if you hadn't attacked it in the first place, Darrel. So, nice try. This is gaslighting at its finest. Like, I'm going to create a problem. I'm going to literally try to threaten the job and basically fire him, but then I'm going to come in and act like I'm saving it. This is wild. Like, that is a very psycho thought process. Like, that is a control tactic. It's all the things. So, I'm going to play that video now. And then I'm going to come back and get into some more.
Anything else? Nope, that's it. All right, Tara, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. So I have been kind of doing my own research, so please correct me if I haven't found the right data. That's why I'm here, just to make sure I'm reading things correctly and I have the right information. I don't see anywhere on our budgets or our expenditures through the year where there is an assistant supervisor role. And I'm curious what that salary is and where it's listed.
What do you mean by assistant supervisor?
Assistant supervisor for Public Works.
Okay.
Where is that money coming from, or where is that salary?
And when you say assistant supervisor,
Specifically, Darrel has been the assistant supervisor in playing roles in allegations and whatnot. So if that's a role that we have here in the city, where is it funded?
that's a good question. Toni, how is that broken out?
So the rate is set by the council payment ordinance.
And so that's just lumped in, like it just gets divided up between the departments.
Yeah, let me.
So on this sheet with Toni's writing herself, there's nowhere on here that says that we have that delegated with Darrel's name on it.
And you know, you're right, and it's not going to be, just like Jamie and I, our extra duties like HR, and that's not designated anywhere. You know, we have not an ordinance, but what would you call it? Just something that tells the public who can do what, and then our pay. But then as far as finding a neat spot within the budget, it's not, but it's gonna be lumped in with another category that
Under the council
pay.
So your council pay is for not only just your council seat, but your acting role as
Yes.
HR.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Did I say that right, Toni? Okay.
all right, so then it's fair to say that there would be proof of a payment of some sort. So you're saying that as Darrel is acting as a assistant supervisor, that's in his $8,000 of council pay? I mean, would you work for $8,000 a year?
Well, none of us have gotten a raise since we started.
No, Tony's getting one today, and it's
Well,
$28,000.
that's Toni, but I'm talking about the council, we've kept our rates the same.
Yeah.
Since I started, and even before that, I had no idea what it was before, but,
Yeah.
we're not in this seat to make money.
No, I understand the council seat as a whole, but spending your every day at Public Works would prove to be a full-time position. And I don't know anybody that would accept a full-time position at $8,000 a year.
Well, you're looking at one right there. John Werner did as well.
John
So-
actually had more hours than me.
I want to make sure to understand you, Tara, because you have a good point. We have a public works supervisor, and he should be the top dog. Absolutely. And then I would say that as he's getting more comfortable, that Darrel could just step back and not do so much. I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer, but I think a lot of what he's been doing has been getting Shane trained in and showing him the ropes, and if he's
I don't
gone-
dispute that at all. I'm just
Okay.
talking about when meetings and allegations are formed, specifically with titles involved,
Mhm.
and there's no backing of that in our funding to actually prove that that's a role. That's where I have the issue, because that is a supervisor that gets paid and he's on our papers. We can prove it. When Shane says something, Shane's a supervisor.
Mhm.
When you have an acting role that covers a full-time situation in almost all allegations formed, and they're claiming to be something, but there's no proof that the city has ever budgeted that position, that's a problem. So that's where I was going with that. And then, you speak of Shane's 1 year getting the $10,000 raise from where he was, because now he's up to speed and all that because of, training from people with experience. But the raise for Toni comes from purely, and I'm going to quote the minutes on the 10th that said, Darrel stated we should talk about the pay rate for the city administrator as well as the gap between her and public works supervisor now that it is less than $1 per hour, as she has been here a lot longer. So what you're implying is that seniority and years of experience are valued and respected here. So basically that's an entitlement raise, because they're not even in the same department, so why does it matter that they're close together in pay? And you guys talk about taking credit cards away from employees. There's no way that the Menards receipts would add up to the $28,000 a year that one person is gonna jump. And then I feel sorry for anybody else who's in the city hall, because who's doing legwork and all these things, and what is the gap between our employees there to keep a healthy balance in our city? I mean, I'm hearing all these numbers, but some of them don't make sense. And I just want to present that as, in all truth, before I even came here, I pulled every single thing that I could for reference. And some of the things that we have gone through personally, I'm not seeing any legs to stand on. Nobody's going to do volunteer work. Nobody's going to work for free. And if they do, there's a reason. I mean, you might, but I'm saying,
I have for 17, 18 years.
yeah, but somewhere somebody's back's getting rubbed, and we've got to figure out where that is, because
I
it's
take offense by that statement, a great deal of offense. I volunteer so much of my time to this city, and I don't do it for anything other than I want to do something for my community.
I don't doubt that
And
you have a
every
great
single
heart.
person sitting around here feels that way, or we wouldn't be here. So don't tell me my back's getting rubbed.
I didn't say you.
Are you saying me?
I'm just saying I want proof for the allegations that were brought onto my family that caused a lot of distress and the constant
Okay.
stuff that keeps going on. We can't prove that there is an assistant role position, and this really comes down to just that alone. And
Okay,
all I
so-
came here for is clarity.
Okay, and I understand where this is going, so, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to answer all your questions. But like I said, for the example of Jamie and I, we are listed as an HR supervisor. We have the same setup for Darrel, and so I don't know where to find all this stuff,
In the
Toni, but.
resolution.
In the resolution, thank you. And so that is what gives that position the power to do what they do. As far as the budgeting piece, I'd already said that it's in there, it's in the numbers, and Toni will separate it out per department. And so for us to look at that budget and be able to see, oh, okay, there's Jamie's pay, there's Darrel's pay, you're not gonna see it within the budget, the high overview budget that we look at. But I believe that you have the ability, when you click on those line items, then you can see all the things underneath it. But for our practical purposes here, we would be here for years if we
If
had
you
to
had
look
line
at
items.
each
I
and every
respect
one of
that.
those.
And honestly, I didn't come here to argue. I literally came here because there is nowhere that I have found in all of the minutes and all of the meetings where it ever says how that role came into play, except for when John Warner died and he passed away. Then Darrel took your seat, because obviously, and then he was acting as an interim supervisor, and then that just rolled into assistant supervisor, which to me is kind of a slap in the face to Shane, if you're honest. I mean, like, at what point does he not have the authority to just be the supervisor?
Yeah, I would agree. He's the supervisor.
I'm
but-
gonna interrupt here. Shane has 99.9% of running Public Works. I do not go in there and supervise it unless he is off. Rice Lake
That's
leans
not
on me
always true.
to help.
That's not always true.
And
We've
you're
been
right, that
there.
is not true. I'm
Please keep it.
city councilor, and what is my listing? I run, here it is,
Public Works
it's right,
liaison supervisor.
there it is.
Well,
It's listed there,
I
and that
can
was
type
listed
a
in
Word
January.
doc, but I want to see it on paper. Where is it
That
getting
was
paid?
approved
Right.
in minutes.
That's from,
That has signatures right there, approved every year at one of our first council meetings.
So it shows his pay. It shows that he's a salaried employee
His
for the
pay
city of
is
Rice
in
Lake.
the ordinance,
Okay,
which you can find all of our ordinances on our website as well.
perfect. And what's the date on that? Do you have that?
January this year.
January 8th.
So anything prior, was there one for 2023?
Usually the first council meeting in January every year, we do an appointment resolution, it's noted as,
Okay,
where council chooses who's going to be the liaisons for all of the.
for that, from the council
Yep.
members. Okay.
Tony, what was my pay as Public Works supervisor when I started? Per hour?
When you were the temporary.
Yes, when I came in emergency fashion to fill in for John Warner and put this city on my back. You're gonna laugh at that? I gave everything to this city.
Darrel.
How much is it? I wanna know how much I made an hour.
I'm not laughing at that.
$32 an hour.
No, it isn't. It was $40 an hour, because I set the rate. Today, I took a deduct when Shane came on as city councilor to go down to $32 an
Yes,
hour.
sorry.
Okay, so was it 40 or was it 45?
I don't see that in here. I'd have to go back through.
But it was set up at 40 an hour
Yeah, I think you're right.
before John Warner passed away.
Yeah.
And then, as I moved on and we got Shane hired, I took a decrease in pay, and you wanna know something? For me, it's not about pay here. I give my heart and soul to this place, in this community. I give my heart and soul to your husband to train him, to make him
Oh,
survive.
please.
Oh, please?
You
Ask
also
him.
formed allegations.
Thank you.
We're not
We're done.
doing this anymore.
You own a business,
Okay.
that's a conflict of interest.
So Tara, I hope that we at least got something for you to be able to research a little bit more if you have
Yeah.
more questions on that.
I just need to have, dates, and so this is great. This goes back to this year, January, but as far as the previous year.
January.
Well, the previous year.
But the
he
previous
wasn't-
year, there was a mayor here, so
Right, so probably March. If you just
I'm just saying, I know
On the
you're
portal,
wanting
if
to
you
chime
put-
in over there.
appointment resolution, that's what it's called every single year.
Appointment resolution?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
And,
And so Darrel would have been appointed somewhere around late March, early April
Yeah.
of 2023.
yep,
And so look around that time and see what you can find.
thank you.
All right, is there anything else? Okay, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Okay, so I'm going to actually back up a little bit because I realized there was a ton on the second Loudermill that I kind of just trying to move through this quickly, and I kind of forgot it. But like this was a little bit of some notes that we had that, you can see also park incident via Tony's son. Like Justin made sure to write that down. But this is what the email chains kind of look like. And right here, you can see Toni pretty much dictating everything. Hi, Jamie. Suzanne and I discussed the situation last night, and we think we should move forward with a written reprimand for the park incident and the truck leaking. Literally, they tried to write him up because there was a hydraulic leak under a piece of equipment, and he didn't put cardboard under it. Not kidding. And this was back when Suzanne and Toni were pretty tight, so I'm assuming she's eating up everything that Tony's telling her. And for whatever reason, there was a mission to get rid of Justin Alshire. I'm just whatever. I'm not even getting into that. At one point, everybody's that has been there is toxic, period. But some people saw the light and some people didn't. So then it goes on to talk about amended PIP. That was the same one. Justin, I'm providing you a notice of discipline to follow up with the Loudermill hearing on May 29th. So this is the second one again. And the only reason I'm kind of going back is because you can imagine that after that first Loudermill, when we all kind of called Toni and Darrel out, they were fucking pissed. And so they like kicked it into overdrive. Like they were going to do anything. And so this just shows you like the second Loudermill was a big deal too. It just didn't get to the point of what the first Loudermill did. So this is Toni to Justin. To clarify our weekly meetings with you, so she, in reference to leaving for lunch, if you have something going on that day, you need to take a lunch. I mean, this is how sickly micromanaged Justin was. When it comes to Justin Alshire, like this is Toni's level of sick. This is part of my data request. Of course, she redacted anything that said Justin. But the crazy part is that he had done a data request too, and he never got this. But she's redacting it on mine. Whatever, I don't care. Here's one on July 31st. Just a reminder to you two that I need the write-ups on Justin Alshire. Work performance for blank ditching on Luzerne. I'm assuming bad ditching or something like that. Anyway, so it's just constant. They were constant. Darrel sends this, and this is why it's important. This is why I kind of wanted to go back. Because here we go. Here's another one. Along with the first Loudermill, where he signed as the Assistant Public Works Supervisor. Here we are on July 10th, just a month before I go to this meeting and ask, I want to see where this Assistant Public Works Supervisor role is, because I've never heard of one. I didn't know we were paying somebody. I didn't know we had that spot. I thought we were only hiring a Public Works Supervisor, and that's it. So then he goes on to say, like, about the Luzerne Road ditching, which is funny because if you remember, in the first Loudermill, they bitched about Justin's grading, but then my dad called him out and said, Darrel, that's not grading, that's ditching. And now here, after that, then everything switched to ditching. It's like, whatever. But this is where, in the Secret Admirer one, I mentioned that at Neighborhood Night Out, just randomly talking to his threesome here, and he says it was great talking to Tara last night. Like, what? Like, why? If it wasn't Justin, it was me. They had to talk about one of the Alshires. And so he's trying to joke with Toni because they're icky. And he says, thanks for the notes. Can you be my secretary? And I'm like, well, she is. So, because she's like a glorified secretary that I think she would cringe if it'd be like, yeah, she just she thinks she's a lot more special than she is. Okay, so that's where I have the recording of Toni calling him a liar. And this is where, we're in the midst of, and he says whelp, which is funny because that's something I used in a previous email that I sent to him when talking about the Celamars thing. But this is his run for mayor situation, and it's pretty interesting. I'm not even going to get into it, but I did call him out in the future on certain parts of that. So anyway, then she's, like I said, they just can't stop. Now we're into August, and it's like she's still obsessively sending stuff about the right of way and trimming the trees, and it's like, Jesus Christ, he hasn't done brushing since January when you literally scrutinized them. Like, just let it go. She can't let it go. She's obsessive. And then, okay, so let's just roll through all of these. I want to just make sure I can get it on your screens in case you guys need to stop. And so this is how Justin talks to her. Hey, Toni, I was wondering what the process is, or if I have to fill out to get copies of the videos of PIP meetings to date. Like, this is how he talks to her, and he just sends it. And I think this is, okay, let's see, the 21st, 4/14. Yeah, so she responds like this, and basically tells him that, your PIP requires to communicate, but that she can get him. But then if you scroll down, or no, she said, "Hi, Justin, an email requesting the footage is all I need. I'll look through the cameras." And he says, "Hi, Toni. I had no idea that's all I needed to do. Thank you for getting back." And then she takes that opportunity, to send that to Shane and Darrel and say, well, at least he corrected his error of not CCing his supervisor right away with a laughy emoji. And then don't forget, this is the same woman who LOL'd that I was going to get tasered by the St. Louis County Sheriff. So anyway, I just felt like it was necessary to go back and hit that stuff. So now we're back in the time frame of getting close to the special meeting, finance meeting. And I think there was one of these, like, I'll point out something in the future, but this one I made sure to put in here because Mark Nemi went and was complaining about his road, and that was itself an interesting situation. But that if you want to research, go to that date and just kind of read the minutes and then figure out what happened. Of course, he got taken care of. Then let's keep going. Okay, so this is where we're getting into prepping for the Thursday, August 22nd meeting. She's doing her own research to find out city pay rates, and that's going to be a main discussion for the next budget meeting. And so you can imagine that this is the agenda packet. There's the towns that she used as her comparatives. This was kind of, I always write notes before I go do these things. And again, I do research. So I'm ready to go and ask where the assistant supervisor role is. Where's that salary? I don't see it anywhere. And because this position is making allegations against my husband, I'd like to know. And let's see. Also, you can't like be a volunteer, make up your own title, and then just make allegations. And then I also bring up the $114,000 suggested raise from $86,000. And then the fact that it's like, is she the administrator, the clerk, the treasurer? And she writes different titles on every single thing. And I just said, if she's covering 3 titles, wouldn't it be more beneficial to spread responsibilities and normal raises to more staff to keep healthy, fair work environment? Like, to me, yeah, just hire somebody else, and like that's a large increase for one person. So it goes over all that, but what I wanted to point out, and that's probably why I had that minutes up there, is that in the June 10th minutes, Toni suggests that they talk about Shane's promised raise of 84,000. And then in the July 8th meeting, Darrel states that we should really talk about the pay rate for the city administrator and the gap between the public works supervisor now that it's less than $1 per hour. And she's been here a lot longer. And it's like, what the hell would those two positions have to do with themselves? Like, why would it matter if she has more seniority? She's in a whole different freaking area that doesn't even matter. So, yeah, then I just have the agenda. And then there's actually a page 3 that's missing out of the budget meeting. And, so yeah, that's that. And then when you get to the actual minutes of me attending that meeting, and I say, where in the budget does it show the public works, the assistant public works director's, director salary? I never even caught that. That's new. Or that's new to me. And that basically Suzanne said it was covered under the council salary, and then I said nobody would work for $8,000 a year. And she said, well, council hasn't got a raise since we started here. It's like, Suzanne, you're not getting what I'm saying. And Jamie's like, most people in this room volunteer a lot of the for no paycheck. It's like, oh my God, could you guys just be quiet? Because you're missing the fucking point. So, okay, so now we're going to get into the dirty. This is where stuff gets dirty. So, that following Saturday, Saturday the 24th, I send a message to Mark Nemi, 10:31 a.m. It was bothering me. I didn't really know him, but I knew that Justin had known him or had a good experience with him, and it was bothering me that he must have misinterpreted what I was trying to get at. So I sent him a message and I say, hey, Mark, I just wanted to reach out and clear up any confusion I had. I know at the meeting on Thursday, you stated that you were a full-time volunteer for 17 to 18 years. But I guess it turns out that you also work at Minnesota Power Elite as well for your career. That was the only point I was trying to make at the meeting when you chimed in. Nobody can work solely for free without some source of income somewhere. And I bet you don't work at Minnesota Power for $8,000 a year. Just know that there are many behind the scenes, note the words behind the scenes, things that you are very unaware of that will be coming out soon. And please know that my intentions were not to discredit your heart for the fire department or the many hours of dedication that you have in. I believe you are probably a great guy, going off Justin's word and judging by the mutual friends we have that share your love for what you do. I hope you can understand my direction now and know that I never meant to offend you. And if I did, I'm very sorry. Okay? That's who I am. I'm still going to stand up for what I said, but that's who I am. Right there. And, of course, he sees it. And this is the part that I never knew until after, but I'm going to scroll down. And just to give you what's going through my head, at 6:27 that night, I got an email from Darrel Johnson from one digger at diggerdarrel.com, so it's his business email, to me at amitycreekmeadow@gmail.com. So he's intentionally trying to scoot out of the data request options or whatever, trying to keep this private as private can be. And he says, hi, Tara. If you want to meet and discuss a way to make things better, I'm available for conversation. There are a lot of misunderstandings that seem to only be getting worse. Many people say not to do this, but you and I have had a great history together, and us two can get things done. This is not a campaign move, because remember, we're in the heat of him running for mayor. We will work together behind the scenes to move this healing process forward. This run for mayor was spurred between you and I early on. I'm so comfortable with the outcome of the election, and no matter which way it goes, I'm here to have us heal. It's in the video that was sent to Justin last week, which it's him acting on the weekly meeting to try to it's all campaign shit. So then it says, I will work hard to make this happen and restore peace for the Alshire family, but we need to do it together. Let me know if you want to move forward in a positive way. Okay. Okay, so this is 627. I catch on right away that he's not using his city email. Like, this is not. I'm pregnant, and like, I know you're up to some shit. He also uses the words behind the scenes, which is exactly what I had said to Mark. I knew instantly that Mark sent him a screenshot. I just was like, oh, Jesus, puke. And so this is all I knew, and I didn't really respond. Actually, I have it later. I think I respond like in October after I have Elliot and I know he's healthy and I like needed to just not be involved. But what I came to find out, this is wild. So 30 minutes after I send this message to Mark, Mark sends a screenshot to Darrel, and guess who messages the mayor and the city administrator? Darrel. 30 minutes after I sent that message to Mark on a Saturday morning at 11:09, it says, "Good morning, Suzanne and Toni. I think we need to start being prepared for more visits from Tara. I think all public speaking should be at the beginning of all public meetings and limited to 5 minutes, like you have it now. But even at the other posted meetings, like finance, because this is 2 days after, and then he quotes the public discussion for any items not listed. He goes, this is where it gets crazy. This behavior she is showing is that of mental illness. She seems to have some paranoia going on, and I'm not the only one noticing this. Also, inviting the deputy to the meetings is looking like a necessity moving forward. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? One, you have a council member declaring that he is basically a doctor and calling residents mental. The behavior she is showing is that of mental illness. Okay, Darrel, you have a PhD now? Okay. Why am I mentally ill? Because I'm calling you out and I'm speaking the truth, so I'm mentally ill? And then that me being at that meeting means that we need a deputy? What did I do that was even remotely physically threatening to you? Like, what? Unbelievable. And I guarantee this isn't the first talk of it. He says right there, I'm not the only one noticing this. Okay, so you're talking about me? Okay. Cool. That's fine. Keep it up. Why don't you keep documenting it, Darrel? Because you are making it way too easy to show the public who you really are. And I can't, you were probably doing this behind my back while you tried to call me a friend. I don't even think you ever did. I very rarely have to say that somebody pulls the wool over my eyes, and I remember having weird vibes about Darrel, like just like, I don't know, something is just off. But I kind of always brush them aside, thinking, oh no, it's just, I don't think like that. Like, he's your friend. Haha. No, he's an evil person. He's an evil person that calls people mentally ill behind their back like he has any right to do that. And he did it on his city councilor email to the mayor and the city administrator. I couldn't have asked for a better gift. Him just like putting it there in writing forever. 30 minutes after I sent a message to the fire chief. And, the same day that later he sends me a private message that isn't on his city email. It's incredible. It's really incredible. I don't think I'm the one that's mentally ill, but, whatever. So, before I move on to the next topic or part of the timeline, I just wanted to show you my response on Wednesday, October 30th. So, Elliot was born on October 1st, and I finally responded to this email that Darrel sent. And at this point, I still don't realize or know that he called me mentally ill. No clue. I just found that out way after the fact when when he called or when he did a CPS report on us. But so I say, Darrel, I've spent so much time rereading this, looking for some form of an apology or even a sign of compassion to myself, my family, or the situation. Although I have concluded there to be none, after taking the time to process how it made me feel, I refuse to let the experience rob me of any more of my precious family time, pregnancy journey, or the first moments home with my new baby. Also, to be honest, I was pissed at my weakness for letting you see me cry. I'm going to pause right here because I came out of that special finance meeting and I was obviously very pregnant. And he said something to me. I can't even remember. I think he said, I think he said happy birthday, Tara. I don't even know, but I was like, how could you, Darrel? And I was crying. But anyway, I said, also to be honest, I was pissed at my weakness for letting you see me cry and will not chance doing that again when it is clear that I was the only one who had heart. Now that I've made it through one of the most emotional closures to our story and come out with a happy ending and a healthy baby, I would say I'm well enough to revisit this in hopes I might get some answers, but I'm not holding my breath for real truth. I will never be so foolish again to think that we are friends, but I would be curious to see where the conversation leads if the offer still stands to discuss moving forward. I expect nothing and will not be surprised at any response, good, bad, or indifferent, but this is more for me and my mental health than it is being hopeful for change. And I think it's so crazy that I wrote my mental health, after he's just called me mentally ill. I think it plays well together. Mind you, I've never been diagnosed with anything like that. That was just me not wanting to have stress in my life and how much the city of Rice Lake has consumed every piece of our joy for a while. It says, please let me know if you have time to talk. I'm sure after you've shared this with all the people that said you shouldn't, you can tell them hi, and I will never back down from being me. I'm a good person and fighting for my family. I hope this reaches you well, Tara. So, yeah, I had to end with that because it was important before we go into the next thing. Okay, so we're officially on the topic of the local 49ers rep coming in. It's a complete no-no. Very much like there's so much. There's laws broken, labor laws, all the things. You just don't do it. And so it was actually the morning of this meeting, October 28th. But this is just the minutes, and I do chronological organization. So we're looking at, and it's crazy because Fifth Avenue South was just recently talked about again. It's got a ditch situation that's going on with this proposed new apartment building. But then I had to put this in, or I had to highlight that this is where Darrel said that we should put the city councilors' emails on the website. What a great idea, Darrel. Could it be that I told you to do that? But he also makes a weird statement. There was a bunch of land, or there was a big piece of land that was like being held for the city of Rice Lake if they wanted it to do a park and whatever. And Darrel just basically said that he's like, we shouldn't do it. We did, whatever. And then he made this weird comment about let it go tax forfeit, and then we'll buy it when he lowers the price of it. And it was a very weird, off the wall statement, and implying that the land wouldn't sell. I kid you not, it sold in 2 days. Two or so days after this meeting or whatever. And, that sale was private for the longest time, but I reached out to my friends at Messina and I was like, you gotta let me know once you can. Ended up being bought by Andrew Knudsen, who's a local business owner in Rice Lake. Weird. Who wasn't a huge Darrel supporter, then became a huge Darrel supporter. Gee, I wonder why. Interesting. all these connections. Here's the old, it used to say clerk one at Rice Lake City MN. That's for everyone, for John Hickstrom, Jamie Heim. You can't really see it that well, but everybody's email went to Toni first, even the mayor. And then we have the local 49ers rep. So this was a big deal. I was at home with a brand new little nugget baby. He was like fresh. And I'm sitting there and I don't know, I think it was on the chair in the living room and whatever. And I get this call from Justin and it was pretty like intense. And he's like, there was just a local rep that came in and I was so uncomfortable and I didn't know what to do. And like, I know that he was sent because he kept saying that he knew Rosencrantz and that he was talking about Darrel. And he's like, you need to get a hold of Heather. I can't do it right now because he was so afraid to get in trouble as far as doing stuff on the clock. So he quickly called me, alerted me to get a hold of Heather, and we all start talking. So then the next day he reaches out because there wasn't a follow-up. Nobody said shit about this guy coming in. It was very odd. And because he like let the day play out to see like if Shane was going to be like, wow, who was that? Or this, nothing. They all knew. And so when they tried to play all of you citizens like they didn't know that guy, it's a crock of shit. It's total crock of shit. So he says, hi, Toni. I'm not sure if you were aware of a meeting yesterday morning with the new union representative from the local 49ers. I want to make it clear that I think he's supposed to say no. I want to make it clear that I had no part in setting up this meeting. The gentleman who was giving us the presentation said that he was dropping in to give us information and said that one of the employees here contacted him and organized the meeting from approximately 7:30, remember that, 7:30 to 8:10 a.m. Just want to create a paper trail stating that I did bring this to your attention because I have received multiple write-ups for having union representation on site for my issues. Thanks, Justin Alshire. Like, this is textbook employee what you're supposed to do. She writes back, Justin, thank you for letting me know. And there's so much to this that I could just go on and on and on. But like when I started calling them out towards the end when they were getting ready to fire him, and I literally told Jamie Heim that, and when she's like, what are you referring to as far as whistleblower? And I said, when Justin told you all that no, we encourage that. I said, in my mind, I'm going, where? I would love to see anything where somebody said, great job, Justin. Because it didn't fucking happen. It never happened. No, you didn't. You're a liar, Jamie. That's all you know how to do is lie. And you lie to cover up Toni's disgusting behavior and Darrel's disgusting behavior. You're in so thick. It's disgusting. And they just, I firmly believe that they like believe their own lies. It's wild. So, and then moving on chronologically, I just want to keep everything in date order. So now it's November 6th, and Suzanne has officially won the mayoral race. And oh my God, I know Darrel said that he would take it well, or that he was fine. Oh, he was not. He was very much not. I think he truly, truly believed that he was going to win. I mean, that's how confident he was with sending this local 49er in there because he wanted to make changes. Like, not only did he want Justin Alshire not represented, but he wanted, this is right before election results are in. He probably thought he was going to win. He probably thought he was going to be the mayor. He probably thought he was going to change the union that the guys had. Yeah, I think he was pretty confident, but that seems to be Darrel's MO on a lot of things. So she just, Suzanne sends this out and she says, I'm honored to be your mayor. At this point too, we're starting to really see the workings, or I shouldn't say we, she is starting to see. I think through this campaign, she got to weed out who was her actual friend and who wasn't. And she learned real quick that there's nobody there that's your friend, Suzanne. None of them. And so this is when we start going back and forth. Justin would reach out and he said, I just want to do a data request for the video footage of the meeting that happened on the 28th from 7:30 a.m. to 8:20 in the main office area of our desks. Sending the file to this email will be just fine. No response. Then he follows up and he says, Hi, Toni. I was just following up on the data request. I know we talked a little at City Hall about the data request. I don't want to miss the deadline before the video gets removed. Because remember, in the future, I'm going to talk about how they change the security camera footage so Toni can easily hide things and delete things. You guys, every single thing goes back to a certain point. Like, I have thread this needle so many times. There is so many points that I can refer to prove why something is happening in the future. But the council looks like deer in the headlights. Oh, she just wants to protect the city and the city hall cameras. It's like, you're idiots. You're dumb. You're just dumb. So, yeah, so he says, I don't want it to get removed because that was already a thing. It was starting to happen. And he says, I can't remember what the exact days that it's stored are, whether it's 20 or 30 days. And so she says, Hi, Justin. I have saved the video already, so you don't have to worry about losing it. I'm just checking to see what is considered public data and what might be private in the video before I can answer your data request. I'm hoping to have an answer to you by Monday. Now, remember, Justin is in this video. Okay? He's in the video. It's a subject data request. He is asking for a video that he is in. Period. And he asked for it well before any investigation happened. So, this is her. This is how she drags her feet so she can make it to a certain deadline and then she can reject it. But this is what she says in response. Hi, Justin. After doing some research on your request, I will not be able to provide the recording to you due to the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, the ECPA, which states, and then it goes on. I'm not going to read all of it. But I did reach out to the other employees that were involved in the conversation that morning to get their consent to share the recording and was told that they did not give their consent. Okay? Okay? So you're talking about the two other Justins that you pretty much protect and cover everything on? Yeah, weird. Weird they didn't give their consent. Because they're in with your little clique. And they're just as disgusting. I know I have shared recordings with you in the past, but that was a recordings where you were a party to and had everyone consent of being recorded. That's a crock of shit. So basically, this is where we start reaching out to Casey Carmody at the data practices office, and there's so much I can't get into it, but he basically says, and right here, additionally, I'm not aware of any language in the ECPA that would classify government data as not public under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. In fact, this is the first time I've heard of a Minnesota government entity citing the ECPA as the justification to withhold data. That just shows you guys, Toni makes shit up. She always has made shit up because she thinks she's smart. She is not smart. She's just evil. She's not smart. She's just downright evil. She's corrupt as the day is long. Horribly corrupt. So anyway, there's this whole exchange between us and Casey. And then also, this is where, I think I'd reached out to Suzanne when I'd never had her number or whatever. And she had posted it in her mayoral campaign, her number, if you want to talk to the mayor, call me. So I did reach out at one point, and we were talking strictly about the budget and the comprehensive plan. And then I said, just if you haven't figured it out, this is Tara Alshire. So that's when we kind of started talking, and then continued to talk, but I asked her I just thought this was important to put in there because I asked her, will there be any time that you'd be willing to meet with me and Justin this week? I have information in the data request. It's very troubling behaviors. And it's basically alluding to Toni is making shit up and she's making you guys, and you guys are eating it out of her hand. So I was going to tell her, and then she basically says, oh boy, as much as I'd like to, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I understand. She understands our position, but she's still the mayor and can't get me involved as a spouse and whatever. But this is what I thought was good to note, because now she knows who she's surrounded by. She said, can I ask if I'm involved in the conversation you found? And she also says, also, as you know, I don't think I have any friends in City Hall. Despite me trying to make peace online, if I have to ask questions of anyone, I am not sure I will get cooperation. Proof. Straight up proof that she's in the snake pit. So now we are at the end of November, and Toni sends an email to the Justins and CC's Shane, and it says, hello. It has been brought to my attention that there was a meeting held on October 28th from 7:30 to 8:10. So again, she's saying 7:30. She writes 7:30. Everybody wrote 7:30, but when she saved this fucking video, it starts at 7:34, because if it was 7:30, you would see Shane answering the door and raising his hands and saying, I have nothing to do with this, because he was fully aware. Despite what Mayor Heim tries to say in the future when she tries to put up a Facebook post that covers up Shane's behavior as well, because either she's, I don't know if she's like that, if she's that corrupt or she's that stupid to believe them. Like, they are going to walk her right into the gates of hell, and they're not going to look back, and she'll be long gone, and they're not going to care about her. And she thinks she's so smart. It's unbelievable. So she says from 7:30 to 8:10, since this meeting was not related to work, not covered under the current CBA, you will need to take vacation or personal time for 45 minutes. It's like, and then it says, feel free to reach out with any questions. Justin Alshire, who in the video you can clearly see wants nothing to do with this damn meeting and continues to work, is now being forced. The unfortunate thing is that she asked for this, and like the other two should have been required to use vacation time. But then there was a grievance filed by the AFSCME union saying you can't do that. That's wage theft, or actually no, I don't know what it was considered. It was an unfair labor practice or something like that. There was a grievance, and then they all got it back. But those other two shouldn't have. Justin Alshire should have, but they have to take care of everybody in the union. And it's funny because these other two are just completely going rogue on AFSCME, and I'm like, oh Lord help you guys, if you truly need union representation, you're going rogue, you're going to be screwed, and I can't wait to be the first one there to see it. So this is the November 25th meeting. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play that union video. I'm going to play that union video right now. It's very long. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, just skate right through it, but at least it'll be on here, and then I'll pick up after that's done.
Have hiring things where you can't, like same family, There's gotta be some Justin nepotism happening here, so somebody's gonna.
I'm the original one, so they screwed up hiring these two.
Okay.
So I'm number 3.
Okay, so you have 3 guys and,
Yep,
okay, not
Right
3
now.
Justin, not 3 Justin.
definitely 3 Justins.
Unbelievable. That's gotta be hard to,
Well, it's kind of nice because when somebody screws up, they're like, "Who's Justin?" And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
are
It's just like a blanket
has
statement.
somebody left so that, or is just the workload, they're gonna add another position or
It
what?
sounds like they're gonna be getting another guy. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. So you guys do roads, is it any utility stuff, like,
Yeah, we do water and sewer.
really? You do all that? 3
We
guys?
all help with each other.
Yeah.
I'm kind of ambidextrous when it comes Yeah, to
okay.
it. He does more of it, and I try to stay away from it.
Okay. So you're the more senior guy?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
Almost 10 years?
Almost 10 years. So
Okay.
in June, or no, September of next year will be my 10th year.
Okay, and then who's next?
Me.
And how long you been here?
6 years or so.
Okay, and you?
4.
Okay. Good place to work though?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They treat you well?
They treat us 4 years.
you've had good boards, you know, because a lot of times that's,
That's
or
the
city
problem.
council or whatever, you know, sometimes that can make it rough.
Yeah, it definitely can if you get a council that wants to come in and invade.
Yeah. This is sure nice, so to have this, huh?
You just built that.
Yeah. Everything used to sit outside before.
Pretty much.
Millions of dollars.
Who are you from?
49ers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to, I couldn't see it.
Anyway, I'm Dan Manick, nice to meet you.
Dan Haddock?
Yep.
Good to meet you.
Justin who?
Chanel.
And you are from Alshire. Okay. So I brought some stuff. Justin reached out to me. You know, and as a business agent, I'm not even supposed to be talking to you guys, so I just stopped in out of the blue. Hey, I see this nice building you guys have here, you know, and so I work with Local 49, represent public sector groups, so I'm just stopping in just to see if you guys are organized, you know, if you're already in any, you know. I don't know anything about you guys, you know, so we've got Hermantown, Carlton County, kind of in your area here.
When did Hermantown go with you guys?
They've been around quite a while.
Were they a different union before you guys?
I don't think so. I think we've had them all the time.
Okay.
We just picked up Two Harbors. Two Harbors went from AFSCME. While we're picking them up, we're just getting signatures on a first-time contract there. Another new one we just picked up 2 years ago, Thompson Township. They basically do ESCO. So I always see just gaps in my, so we have Silver Bay and Olive County. So I'd be doing Hermantown or whatever. If I had to go to the North Shore, and I drive through Two Harbors, like, God, this sucks. You know, driving through town. I mean, it's right on my way. You know, I tell my bosses it's like a trap line. You know, and really, with the groups that AFSCME represents, we see a lot of. So at some point, AFSCME got in here. Maybe nobody knew any better. And when it's equipment operators, that's not really their deal, you know. So they've got a lot of groups in say courthouse, city courthouse, health and human services, you name it, you know, like counties in different cities. So it seems like it's just taking a little while, and there's more public groups like yours are maybe just fed up with AFSCME's lack of representation. Like Two Harbors was just flat out, never see anybody. You know, they'd show up at contract time, and you need any help? You know, because I think, you know, you guys are AFSCME.
Yeah.
Who's your president?
I don't even know.
So you don't have, so what they usually do, like so maybe because you're a smaller group, you don't have one. So Two Harbors literally had their own, they called it a president, and they had some other title, and they might have got maybe $50, $60 a month or something to be the president. And then they would that president would take care of it. If there's a grievance, if there's anything, a new hire, that guy would fill out all that paperwork and shit, you know. So we don't do that. Business agent, we do all that stuff. If you hire a new guy, I just show up with a new member pack, sign them up. We would have a steward in this group, and once a year we give a steward gift. This year we gave out jackets like this, but they were black. Sometimes we've given out Leathermans with Local 49 stamped on it. Everything we do has to be made in USA. We put our logo on it, you know. So like Two Harbors, they were at the end of their contract, and there's an open window. If you guys are interested at all, you know, and I'm not supposed to even be talking about it, but I've got Justin on my personal phone, so I've got no contact. No history. I didn't stop in here. The three Justins are lying. I've never stopped in, you know. So if you're ever interested, we just got benefits we can offer. You know, we've got our pension, we've got a supplemental pension plan, in addition to your para. I worked 30 years for Coochin County Highway Department, and I took this job when I was just about 60 years old, because I just saw the writing on the wall with para, combined with the shitty wages I was making. I'm gonna have to work till I'm 70, and then still have shitty para.
Yeah.
More and more, like Thompson Township, there's an older guy, Greg, he's been in, I think they've been with AFSCME, he's been there with them for, no they weren't with anybody, just with his para. You don't have to be in a union to get para. But after 11 years, he showed me his estimate from para. $400 and some after 11 years. It's like, what the hell? I mean,
Yeah.
that's like a third of your career, you know, so, and they were a little bit lower wages too, like myself, when I left there 6 years ago, I was probably making $22 an hour, you know, so if you're making $30 an hour, it might not be bad, but, they don't seem to be making an effort to keep up with inflation.
Yeah, inflation's killing everything.
For retirees that were on Social Security, this year isn't so great, or 2025, it looks like they're gonna be about 3 point something for a Social Security increase. 2024 was 3 point something, but 2022 was, I think 2022 was 6 point something. 2021 was 8% something because of coming out of COVID. So when Social Security saw that, they were wise enough to say, man, there's horrible inflation out there, we need to raise our Social Security recipients. Para went 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. While Social Security is going 8, 6, and 3.5. You know, so if I was on para, well, thanks for giving me a 1.5 increase when inflation is 8 point something. You know, so we've got that supplemental pension that we believe. You know, I've been a 49er forever, and we were fighting with our county to get in our pension plan and our health and welfare. Never could. If I could have had our pension, I wouldn't have had to take this job at 60 years old.
Yeah.
So now my passion is just to try to, wherever I go, you know, and if a group like this reaches out to us, you know, I might have, because I've seen your equipment around in my travels, you know, I might have stopped in cold someday, you know, just like, hey, what's up, guys? You know, but when he reached out to me, and actually Dan Gilbert, he's a business agent that does all our highway heavy, I think Digger Darrel reached out to him and said, hey, you know, so that side even wants to be away from AFSCME. You know, and they do some different shit. I know, as I see Darrel got all these signs, you know, so he's running for town councilor, but AFSCME does some shit politically that pisses people off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Darrel, I think Darrel would probably be a conservative, and,
Yeah, the shit I get from AFSCME pisses me off.
Really?
I never asked for this, don't send me this shit.
Yeah, and so, little more history on Local 49, you know, we're obviously a member of building trades, right? We have our labor temple downtown, and every other trade except for us, I swear. You put a D by your name, and we'll endorse you, but except for us. So we go to these building trades meetings, and they'll have Jen Schultz walk in, they have all these Democrats come in, never invite a Republican, you know, that we're sitting like, we're just gonna endorse somebody without having the other person come in and speak?
Yeah.
Well, but we asked them, but they'll never come in. It's like, show me the emails, show me the invite, because I can't believe, man, if I'm a Republican and I want any endorsement, I'll walk in anywhere. I don't care if it's, if I know it's a hostile crowd. Maybe I'll win somebody over. Like, hey, you know, you people, are you seeing the trend? Because northern Minnesota is really turning, like we got Spencer Igo up our way, kind of more of the range. Well, we've got Stauber down here for quite a while. Spencer Igo took over from a Democrat. Rob Farnsworth took over from a Democrat. Roger Scraba, unseated a Democrat. Dave Whistlegard squawked up on the range as the only House seat that was still Democrat. It just seems like the Democrats have lost us. You know, they're not really concerned about you guys because, well, you're just carrying a lunch pail, you're making your own money, you're fine. You don't need any help. We'll just gouge you with inflation and then hope your employer can keep up. You know, so part of it too, we endorse, like right now, this election cycle, I bet you it's 50-50, Democrats and Republicans. You know, and I have no control over, we can suggest things for up here, you know, and we do get some help on some of our endorsements, but down in the metro area, like we've endorsed like Angie Craig. I'm not a fan of Angie Craig, you know, it's like, that's not my business to be telling them, come on, man, think like Dan Manick, you know, so, but at the very least, you know, I think we don't piss as many people off because, hey, we do endorse 50-50.
Yeah.
We'll endorse the person, not the party, you know, so I brought some information with for you guys if you want to check on stuff. If you ever want to start the process, you'd go through Bureau of Mediation Services, you know, and you can go on their website. Some of the forms I have, I'll just leave all this shit with you. You can find them right on there. So if anybody ever asks, you know, you don't have to learn it from me. Any other 49er, anybody else could talk to you about this and tell you, hey guys, if you're interested, just go on BMS, call BMS. They'll walk you through. And they might give you some bad news like, oh, you guys got a new contract. Well, there's an open window period, which there is. 180 days from the time your contract expires. So say if your contract doesn't expire until December 31st of 2026, just making up a date. 180 days before that expires, that'd be your open window to say, all right, we're going to petition to leave, and it's your normal process. We got Aurora from AFSCME in spring of 2022, and they had just signed a brand new contract. They had a new contract, and they were only with them for they were with them forever, but they had signed a new contract, and it was only 3 months old. And I told those guys, holy fuck, you just signed a contract, man, that's going to be tough. The thing so we started the process. Chuck Kaufman is my steward up there, and I coached him up a little bit, like this conversation today. And then, Chuck, really just reach out to BMS, talk to some other 49ers if you have to. There's my personal phone. I can help you out a little bit. So we were looking at like, okay, one of the rules BMS has, if you guys are in a contract, in the middle of a contract now, and you decide to leave, you may have to go unrepresented for a year, and that scares the shit out of a lot of people. So they were willing to go through it. I think there's 6 guys there, and they were, I try to explain to them, like, if you've got good counsel, if you trust your city council and you guys have a good relationship, it is scary, but
And we got a big election coming up in November.
we got
a lot of
could it
seats open.
switch?
Oh, big time,
Like
big time.
right now you've got a favorable council.
I would say we do. Yeah, who knows what's really going on.
Could it
I
go
don't
the
know.
other way? Some of the people that are running?
Yeah, it could. Because there's a lot of shit going on about, people upset with the council, but I don't know when you get the drama. But you just get somebody who thinks they know everything,
Yeah.
and they're gonna step in and they're gonna change the world,
Yeah.
and then they start fucking around with us. And
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah. So with Aurora, those guys, they kept, nope, all right, that sounded kind of scary, but they stuck with it. Nope, let's keep going. And so we're going through the process, and finally, Bureau of Mediation Services sent a letter to Chuck, and then Chuck, he shared it with me right away. And BMS told him, well, if your employer signs off on this, if they're okay with you leave, because AFSCME at one point said, fuck you then, if you want to leave, we don't give a shit, but you're going to have to do that 1 year waiting period, and then you all could get fired, blah, blah, blah. They're kind of threatening him. And, so the guys still kept going through the process. So they were letting BMS know, well, we'll still do this, even if it means that waiting period. And then BMS said, well, if your employer signs this form here, or sends us a letter that they are okay with this, waiting period is all gone. City council just, sure, we don't give a shit. So they came over to us right away. So if you've got, the biggest thing you guys could have is if you've got a couple friends on the council, and then have them, you don't need everybody, but if your whole council was, holy fuck yeah, ask me is kind of, one thing too with possible, with our insurance, say if you guys are all 3 on family insurance, and they're out on the open market right now, this city, picking up that insurance, maybe there'd be savings there, that, okay, if you guys do come over to Local 49, switch you guys over to our insurance, and then some of the savings, we'd maybe give them some of the savings back. If we took it all, there'd be no advantage. Like, well, if it's gonna cost us the same.
Yeah, exactly.
They all wanted wages and benefits, what the hell, we'll just stay with AFSCME, pay $2,500 a month for insurance, so with Aurora, we left them a little bit, we left some on the table when they switched to us. When we picked up Thompson Township, their insurance was horrible, and I told the guys, I said, if you wanna get our insurance, we want to leave them a little bit, leave them something, a few $1,000s for the year. Otherwise, if it's a wash, they're going to say, well, I don't know, what's the big deal,
Yeah.
So couple of friends on the council would really help. I know for sure, Digger Darrel, he did talk to Gilbert about it,
he'd be for it.
Yeah, he's like, and I'm just guessing, part of it, he did mention, I think he might have mentioned insurance, I don't know what you guys is, they're paying for you guys for insurance if you're single or family, but I know a lot of it is politics related, and some of it too. Darrel has to deal with building trades on occasion, and I know he probably knows what those building trades mean. They keep endorsing all these Democrats, you know, and if Darrel is a strong conservative, that probably pisses him off enough. Like, fucking ask me, they're just like everybody else down at building trades, and we do get credit for. Well, these two fuckers endorse half and half. Yeah, we do. You know, so that would be a good start. You know, and then it's up to you guys. I mean, if you like your representation from AFSCME, who's your rep?
Huh? Heather is our rep.
What's her name?
Heather Davis.
Well, I don't know her.
She just they kind of Gary used to be our rep.
Okay.
And then,
Gary Mandel, I don't know
yeah,
if you
and
know.
then now she took over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have so many. I deal with a Tom Whiteside. Tom Whiteside, I'm dealing with him. I work together with him at times, you know, like in Thompson Township. Now, he ended up signing up the clerk and a couple of people, so they're in a new contract. So I work together with AFSCME on stuff, you know, so it does help. Up in Cooch County, I've got 24 equipment operators, but AFSCME represents about 80 people in the courthouse and stuff, you know, so when we go in for negotiations, we're always negotiating the same year, so I'm working right now with Alex Rosa. Hey, let's stick together, you know, don't tell the county, but here's what we're asking for, you know, for wages and stuff, you know, so I get along good with them, you know, that's why I feel shitty at times, like, hey, kind of stealing your people, but I truly believe that anybody that does this public works and then would ask me, you're being misrepresented, you know, because we represent equipment operators. We do. You know, that's what our highway heavy is, our builder's agreement. We represent people in this kind of work. And I've seen some of their contracts and wages they're not bad. I mean, I'm not about to say they don't do a good job, but
I just think
for one thing, the
49
benefits.
is more to offer. Like,
Yeah,
they-
well, our
for
training
operators,
center,
your
you know,
training center is
yeah.
huge.
Mhm, yeah, you know, and it's becoming more important now because we're not getting, it seems like our applicants aren't real experienced, you know, so say, hey, we call it phase training for a public sector. They start in August and it goes to November, and they do a week at a time. So they have phase 1 training, and you know, so you go through phase 1 training, and they put you on 5 different pieces of equipment during the week. Then once you do phase 1 training, you know, maybe a couple years later, if the city or your employer decides to send you down, then you go to phase 2, and they add, I don't know if they add maybe motor grader. The first time, the phase 1, they might not do motor grader. I'm not positive on it, but it's a week-long stuff just for public sector people. So I've got Cook County sends people down there, Carleton County. You know, it's a big toy box, you know, so you can take somebody off the street without much experience, send them down there for a week instead of running your equipment, or you're maybe damaging shit, your own equipment, or being a public safety hazard, you know, so that, yeah, the training center is a big draw.
Yeah, you can pick up a lot of pointers from somebody who's experienced.
Yeah.
Because I know my uncle Todd, do you know Todd Rabine?
No.
I forget his buddy, but we went golfing, and he's apparently number 2 at the training center. We went golfing with him, and
Okay.
but yeah, it'd be nice. Todd
Yeah.
does a lot of the training there.
Yeah.
I know he's experienced. He's been with the 49ers
Yeah.
forever, but to take pointers from somebody like him
Yeah.
is a huge deal. You know?
Yeah, and we also will send, if somebody really wants to, like if you guys needed some blade training, we'll send an instructor up here, and then you're on your own roads. Done that with a couple of my smaller groups up north.
That's
rather
awesome.
Rather than going down and like, it's a big sandbox, you know, and I see when we do the training down there for blade stuff, it's still good, you know, but it's like, man, you should come up on their shitty roads, you know, because a lot of times you might be dealing with clay, you know, maybe you don't have a lot of good gravel cover, you know, down there. It's beautiful. You can go blading, you aren't hitting rocks, you aren't hitting nothing, but yeah, you know, up in the falls, they've got some closer to the rainy lake. I mean, some of there's hills with boulders poking up. Try blading on that shit, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so that's a big advantage. You know, and so 2 Harbors, Aurora, for sure. You know, we stole them from AFSCME, and their biggest gripe, we didn't even have to coach them up, was like, we just don't see anybody. We're just tired. And their dues were like $75, $80. I don't know what you guys are at. But ours are 52, a month. We just started doing a working dues thing. We've been $35 a month forever. Just in the last few years, we started doing a working dues because we haven't raised our dues in like 10 goddamn years. So inflation hit local 49 too. So
Yeah. Yeah, inflation's been bad.
yeah,
It's, you know, inflation's kind of slow. Like, it takes a while to catch up to people, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's just now starting to catch
Yeah.
up to people.
yeah. Well, even with our insurance, 2 years ago, our insurance premiums went up $70 a month, which is the highest we've seen in. I've got a 20-year history of our insurance premium increases, and so I got like 23 groups, and I suppose about 14 or 15 have our insurance, about 19 have our pension, and the only ones left that don't have our insurance, like Cook County this year, we just signed a new contract, and we were negotiating, and they didn't tell us anything about the premiums. Oh, we don't know what the new premiums are going to be. So at the beginning of their last contract, which would be 3 years ago, family coverage was $1,700. So we go negotiate, come up with a wage, blah blah, everything, you know, and insurance they're doing an 80-20, you know. So we really didn't bother talking about insurance much, because I'm always telling you guys, hey, if you ever feel, you know, because we're not insurance salesmen, we don't do like when employers put out proposals for insurance. We don't even get involved. It's only if a group is interested. You know, so the Cook County guys have never been bugging me about insurance. I always tell them, hey, it's available to you guys if you ever feel your rates get too high and you're paying too much a month. So we negotiated, set up a contract vote. 2 weeks later, a day before the contract vote, they sent us the insurance premiums. So just in a 3-year span, so that would have been back in, say, 2021, their premiums were $1,700 for family. In 2025 now, they're going to be $2,400. It's like, holy fuck. You know, and so I told the guys, I said, okay, we're here voting, and we didn't even talk insurance premiums. I'm leaving it up to you. Here's what we're voting on. All this stuff, the wage increases, this, that, this, that, this, that. I'm really disappointed that they didn't. They gave us no clue, but they probably had an idea about their rates. You know, so I'll remind you then, you know, okay, if you decide you want to vote yes for this thing, that's up to you. If you want to vote no, and you're worried about insurance, we can easily go back in there and tell them, okay, if that's what the premiums are going to be, we need to start doing like an 85-15, you know, 80-20 is just too much. You know, those guys they're going to pay $400 a month for their insurance. You know, so their insurance at that 20, whatever it was, $2,400. Ours is $1,475 for family coverage. But what happens, like in a group in like Cook County, 20 in the group, if 9 of them are on single at $900 a month, we got to do the math. Okay, it'd be great if everybody's on family. Holy shit, we're going to save money. You're going to get money in your HRA, you know, and we'll still save your employer some money. So that one there, I told the guys, no, they voted to ratify that contract. I said, really, guys, we need to really, we can do an MOU next year. You're locked in for 2025 for insurance, but my God, you know, if we have any clue about what's happening in 2026, we really should sit down and talk hard about going to Local 49 insurance. We can do an MOU in the middle of a contract and we can petition them. We need to lead, you know, so I just did find out ours was going up $90 next year, and it's almost just still catching up from COVID. And our health fund, so it's 2 years ago it went up 70, last year it went up 50. They should have had a little bit more foresight, the board of directors on our health fund, you know, because now they're saying, oh my God, you know, we're seeing all these high usage coming in, you know, and I think some of it is still COVID related, where nobody could go and have surgeries. I think people put that off, and that's like, all right, I guess, you know, now I'll just break down and go in and have it done. You know? So next year our insurance will be like 15, I suppose 1570, something like that. Still a bargain for family.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's what I have for you. And I'll just leave this here. You can throw it away if you want. So if one of you wants to start checking on stuff, if you really are serious about it, VMS, New York Mediation Services. Everything I'm showing you here, this is on their website. You guys are really smart. If you look at drop-down menus, you go across the top up there, and like this decertification. That's what it would be called if you guys were going to leave AFSCME. So you go on there, these hyperlinks, a petition for decertification, deauthorization cards, right? So that's what you'll see on there. Okay, so now what I did was I clicked on that decertification. So if you were going to certify or decertify, so like if you weren't with anybody and you wanted 49, you would do the same form and it would just be certification. So they've got the same thing, like if you weren't signed with anybody, you'd check all these things. We're a public sector petition. You'd be petitioning 49 for exclusive representation. So right now, before you do anything, if you decide to go through with it, this would be a form you'd fill out, public, and I'm not going to deep dive into it, but if you ever get to that point where, hey, we should just try and see what happens. This is an online form that they prefer to be filled in online, but at least it gives you an idea. This is some of the paperwork involved. Name of your employer, employer representative. So let's say, I don't know if you have like a supervisor or I don't know if they would need like your city administrator. You put that there. Their email. One of you guys would want to take the lead. So this one, name of union employer organization, you put AFSCME, and any information you have for AFSCME there. So this is for decertification, name of another employee organization having interest in or claiming to represent. So this one here, once you get to this point, I would throw, just to not throw up any red flags that, because Teamsters does represent some public sector groups. They also have a insurance. I won't even talk about their pension plan. It's shitty. They've been bailed out forever, but they do provide insurance, so I would throw Teamsters, 49, that's about the only other two groups that really represent public sector groups, so they're not too concerned with that. So this is open window information, so this what kind of explains that 180 days. Expiration date of contract, you'd have to put that in here, number of employees covered by request, 3, description of your current unit,
Yeah, so we just did a new contract. We started this year.
So you're almost a year into it, huh?
Yeah, so we would have to get the city council's blessing, I think, if we
Yeah.
switch it, which I think we could get that.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be a problem.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
anyway.
I think it would benefit
Yeah.
the city as well as us.
So this is just, I think I just did a couple of copies of that.
Does the city council know about like this meeting or anything
No.
like that?
No,
Who approved this meeting?
I just stopped in out of the blue,
Okay.
so, Digger Darrel, I didn't even call him. Dan Gilbert told me, hey, you should stop in and talk to those guys.
Okay.
He seemed pretty annoyed. So I don't even know if it's politics or if he was doing the math, say he's running for council now.
Yeah, because they're not big fans of union coming in and doing meetings and
Yeah.
stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
on the city's dime.
Yeah, and the only reason I stopped
I
in,
don't think it'll be a problem this time.
the only reason I stopped in this time of day was I didn't want to, I can't find you guys, if you're out during the workday, the only time is to try to catch you
Yeah.
early in the morning or when you're coming in, coming back in.
Yeah.
So, and you won't see me again unless you reach out to me. Just to give you guys some options. So I don't know if some of Darrel's things is maybe if he feels he's gonna win, and I don't know what they're paying for insurance for you guys, and he can come in and say, okay, I'm gonna, because the city could initiate the same thing. They can say, hey, they can reach out to you guys.
Yeah.
The city could say, guys, we know what we can save in insurance. Or would you be opposed? If we look into having you guys be represented by Local 49, you guys would obviously have to be willing and do these petitions, but with the city can also say, the training that's available. And they can talk to Ask Me, we're sorry, but you don't have any training available for it.
Absolutely.
Where insurance rates are unreal, you know, we're gonna be shopping around, you know, and there's really not much Ask Me can do because they don't have either. They don't have the training, they don't have their own insurance, you know, so,
Yeah, the training is the biggest thing that could benefit us and the city immensely.
yeah. So here's some contact information for Ask Me, and that's available on their website too. I would, you know, I would say probably, I don't know who Tom, what he does. I know Johnny, he's done some mediations and stuff. Todd, I would say just because he's a deputy commissioner, he might be busy with shit. Some of these mediators, they would probably know some answers, you know, I know people have reached out to him, but I would check with maybe Todd, you know, if you guys talk about it, if you're interested in doing anything. I'm gonna leave this here. This is kind of confusing. Just looking at it out of the blue, this is our supplemental retirement. I'll leave. So the state legislature has allowed Local 49 and a bunch of others. I know iron workers have it. Some of the other trades have this supplemental retirement thing. But so right now the max you can do is 480. Last year the max was 240 and it had been 240 forever. So I had a bunch of groups that were at 240, you know, and there was guys that were putting in 240 for 10 years, you know, so just that 10 years, that like not right now if you look at the 250, it's 910. You know, so I got Greg over there in goddamn Thompson Township, 11 years of the township, and you know, he could make more on our supplement than he can with his para. You know? So I'll leave. You got a copy of that, and there's rules and to follow. Like say a new group, we're trying to get it in Thompson Township this year. We didn't get it in the first contract. The most you can do your first year is $1. You know, and then after you get to $1. You can only go 50% of that the following year, 50% the following year. They just don't want somebody just rushing to $4.80, you know, because maybe he's brand new here and he's on a lower wage. You've been working here forever and you're making more. You've got longevity pay, so they don't want financial harm coming by just a simple majority. So there's 3 of you here. If 2 of you say, hey, okay, you're going to 49 and you want to do the pension. If 2 of you want to do the pension and 1 doesn't, it takes a simple majority vote. Okay, we're going to do the pension. The guy that's on the outside, what you should do is work with that guy. Like, okay, Justin's not a big fan of it. Okay, but the other 2 want it. Now we got to come up with what should we put in there. And if his concerns is financial, hey, I got kids. I can't really. I don't want to lose a buck, right now. Hey, just could you see? Can we just start at 50 cents? You know, work together on that. You know, so the group would have to even decide. Do you even want to be in that? And if you do, then you know you say, yeah, we'd like to shoot for the pension. You also have to decide because you can't do a buck and you do 50 cents and he does 25. You all have to do the same thing.
Yep.
You know, so
Same amount.
yeah. So then later on, you know, you'd be seeing something like this would come. At the authorization card, you'd have to fill this out. If you felt like you're going to leave Ask Me, and this would be on that website, you know, so there's nothing secret there. I'll leave that here. Then once you start breaking free, then there's authorization card. You know, if you're going to go to Local 49, that would come in the mail to you. And if only 1 of you filled it out, and the other 2 didn't, that means you're not going to Local 49, you know, so it's almost like a little mini election. This is just some insurance information. This is kind of an overview, very brief. This is what some of the stuff, our premiums, and up on the big thing you want to look at is the deductible. You know, right now it's $750 a person. It's possible that might be going up to $1,000 next year. They haven't changed. They haven't changed anything yet. They told us the rates, out-of-pocket maxes and stuff. Physical exam, free physical every year. 19 chiropractic or acupuncture visits a year. We have, let's So there's prescription.
I got erectile dysfunction already.
Yep. Prescriptions are an 80/20 until you get your out-of-pocket max. We do have dental and vision. Vision is $500 every 2 years. If nothing else, if you don't really think you need glasses, instead of just letting the money go away, every 2 years just go in for an eye exam just to make sure everything is all right. On the back, there's some dental stuff. 100% for preventive and diagnostic services. So keep that handy. I'll leave a couple extras in case you need it. And then just here's our rates. You know, if you guys want to start doing some math, let's say they're paying. Say if they're paying over $2,000 for your insurance now, and the city and yourself want to make a switch. You know, what I had happen with my other groups is like Aurora now, they're going to have like $300 a month going into an HRA because of the savings on our insurance. You know, so it'd be a way to benefit you. And we also, you know, I'd also like the employer to save some money. Otherwise, there's no reason why they would want to switch if it's going to cost them the same. This is just some boring reading, but if you're interested, our pension plan is doing just fantastic. Pension plans should be at 100%. We've been at over 100% for the last 3 years. This is what they send out every member that's in our pension. They send you this overview of financial thing. Right? We've been at 107% for the last 2 years, so it's a pretty safe plan. It's not going anywhere. And then the accrual rate on that first sheet I handed you, that accrual rate, it talks about the 1.75 accrual rate. If that ever changes, like it was 1.25 2 years ago, and it went up to 1.75. Because we're at 107% funded, I'm anticipating if that keeps up, we're going to have to raise that accrual rate because we're not supposed to be making money. You know, like right now at 107%, we're making money. If we're at 100%, that means all the pension funds we're taking in, we're giving out to members. That's how a perfect pension plan should work. They don't like it being up, like we were going to get up to 120% pretty soon. Something's like, holy shit,
Yeah,
we got to get back to the membership. You know, we got retirees that are struggling. Why aren't we raising that accrual rate? So anyway, you know, and if you guys are happy with asking me, that's fine. You know, they represent a lot of people. I know I work with them on. They work hard. I do better on contracts when Carleton County, we all hung together. Law enforcement, LELS, and the ASME groups, we did better because we all kind of stuck together without the county knowing. Coos County is doing the same thing. Right now with Thompson Township, we're working with Tom Whiteside again, working with Carleton County. He's sticking tough to his wages, we're hanging tough to our wages, so we just have a few other things to offer that they can't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll let you guys get to work. Nice meeting you.
All
right. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, talk to you later.
Take her easy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get running. I gotta go set that meter up.
Okay, we're picking back up in November, and this is the second council meeting of November. And this is where Darrel and his wife just really put on a show, an embarrassing show. And I'm trying to find, let's see. Okay, the minutes are obviously going to downplay it because Toni does the minutes. But so it says public discussion. Yeah, here we go. Yvette Johnson, 5776 Rice Lake Road, wanted to speak to the council about the election and how it affected her and her family. Yvette read prepared statement. Like, that in itself, I was at home watching this on Zoom, holding my baby, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. She has the audacity to say how this little campaign run that her husband willingly fucking did, knowing he's putting himself into the public's eye, like, to be scrutinized. She said that affected her and her family. Why don't you ask your husband how he affected me and my family? So I was pissed. And after listening to her letter, I was like, I'm driving there. And in that same meeting, Bob Quaid announced that he will not be sworn in nor accept another term here on council, as he did not like the way the election was handled by some. And they're just implying Suzanne ran a dirty campaign, which is a complete fucking lie. She put up one Facebook post basically saying, I have nothing to gain here. I have no conflict of interest. I just want to be your mayor to be your mayor. And that's it. And they twisted it into saying that that specific post spurred everybody else to be a smear campaign. And oh my God, just a ton of babies. I wish Bob would have actually stayed off now that I know. He also said small town elections are not supposed to be partisan, and he does not want to be a part of this anymore. It's like, well, then go. We should have let you go. So anyway, it was a crazy meeting, and I came flying into it, and I will not buffer this in any such way to try to make myself appear better. I was livid. I came flying in, and I was like calling them out. This is where the podcast, the beginning of the podcast, where I say, I'm just going to show them how you smeared my family, because this is after Darrel gives his dark politics speech. This is where he also says, I hope it sits well in your soul. I mean, come on. Unbelievable. It was so gross. But the Monitor ended up doing an article on it. I pay for a subscription, so I'm not going to share that because I really encourage you to get one. But this is part of my documentation as far as going back and forth. This is where Yvette was trying to call me. He helped Tara. And I was like, yeah, and I have $150,000 in invoices for that help. So don't act like he was my friend. And he called out the Monitor in this. And that's when Darrel told me I couldn't speak. It was a lot. It was a heavy meeting, and it was not good. So this is my post for Facebook with Monitor. There was a CAD report because, of course, that we had to recess, and Darrel secretly text Sheriff Gordon Ramsay. Yep, caller name Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, and this is all wrong. It states that after they got there, the two people had left, which is implying me and Scott Williams. Scott Williams didn't do a damn thing. He's completely innocent. The problem was Darrel's wife and her big fucking mouth. And, like, that's from one big mouth to another. Like, I can honestly say that. She does not back down. And, yeah, anyway, this is all the stuff from Casey Carmody. And then, this is another article that the Monitor did because, and you should go read it. The, City of Rice Lake tried changing the health care for the Justins. Well, we didn't give a shit because it didn't really affect us. But one of the other Justins, Justin Shindell, who likes to completely bitch and moan behind the scenes and then make a big stink. He made a huge stink about this, got a hold of Heather, whatever. AFSCME comes together to represent them and to say, like, you guys can't do this. And guess who doesn't show up to the meeting? Justin Shindell and Justin Rosencrantz. Big fucking pussies. I mean, they're just, pardon my French. I get so mad because they're just disgusting people. So there was meetings that were had. It was crazy. So, and then this is where I know that the recording didn't start till after I gave public discussion, and we kind of go back and forth all the way through in January. Ooh, these are the good ones. So this is me talking to Suzanne Herstead, and I explained that I said, I said, can you answer my question? And by the way, the Zoom wasn't working last night until after I already spoke. So I sent her my screenshot with the monitor. And she said Toni had technical issues with Teams meeting last night. And once she restarted it, she was able to let everybody in. And I'm just like, oh, how interesting. I said, impeccable timing for technical difficulties that have never happened before. I commend you for your ability to give her the benefit of the doubt. It's truly remarkable. Isn't that part of her responsibilities to have that up and ready on time for $114K a year? I could definitely make sure to hit a button if you need me to. Let me know. She says you're hired. Because it's a joke. But this is something from Jamie Heim to Suzanne on January 23rd, 2025, and it's in regard to that meeting, and it says, I totally agree with you, and I'm very upset with Darrel. As I told you, he and Yvette made such a scene at council meeting. I'm glad you won. You and I don't always agree, but we both respect our positions, and that's how we get things done for the city of Rice Lake, which is all that matters. Toni and I are meeting with Darrel tomorrow to discuss what interactions he had with the 49ers, and I also plan to ask him what interactions he had with AFSCME. I think he thought he was another John Warner without the experience or the knowledge to do so, and I'm pissed. Couldn't have said it better myself, Jamie. So we're just going to get right back into that timeline so I can keep trying to scoot through this. There's just so much, and I feel like we're going to be missing so many details, but I have to put this all out there right now, just so I can have a little comfort moving forward. So the recap of November 2024 is that Mayor Herstead won the election, Darrel didn't take it well, and that there's some more details, but basically the hypocrisy, I say, of the man-child who cried wolf and Darrel's disgusting little speech. December 2024, now we think like we're just like, okay, cool. Like Darrel's out. We have a 2-month-old baby. We just want like normal. And we for like a millisecond we had some peace. I think we did. We might not have known what they were doing behind the scenes, but like, yeah, we thought we had peace. And this was crazy because Suzanne tried to call out Darrel in his application or when they were doing interviews. But he didn't show up for his like last meeting, which would have been December 9th, I think. And it was said that Tim Herstead saw him in the parking lot before the meeting and then he took off, but then he said that he was in Vegas with Ferris, so who the hell knows. But now we're in December and here goes Toni again. Now that when the campaign was going on back up here, you could see that they really wanted to stop the PIP meetings. Oh, the PIP was dropped. They had initially suggested that they shift it to bi-weekly, and that was originated by Darrel, Toni, and Shane, because literally Toni could not make it there in time without like wet hair, whatever. And they also had a complete lack of discussions, like topics. He wasn't doing anything wrong, so there was no complaints. And of course they twisted it to try to make it sound like it was Heather. Oh, like, well, we won't hold our breath. And it's like, you guys are the ones that wanted to drop the meeting. Justin was doing fine showing you how good he was. So it's gaslighting again. But so now we're in that December 2024, and Toni and Shane attempted to formally discipline Justin after receiving a photo of him in Superior. They were on a recycling run, and supposedly the other two Justins had taken a picture of him stopping at a gas station. And they sent it to Shane, who then told Toni, and then they pulled Suzanne in, and Suzanne said, well, wait, who took this picture? And Shane said that it was JR and JS, and she's like, I'm not going to write him up. He probably had to go to the bathroom. And she said that Toni and Shane were like visibly upset with her refusal. And this is where, like, after this, Shane like threatens to quit. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, you guys. They wanted Justin Alshire out of there so god dang bad. It's wild. Retaliation says Darrel had requested JA be written up for a greater job back in October. Both Jamie and Suzanne agreed not to pursue it. It was 2 months late and conveniently timed after Tara publicly challenged Darrel. And Suzanne told Toni it feels retaliatory. Because everything was. Oh my gosh. And this was the health insurance thing that I had spoke of, that Justin Chanel flagged it, but then, never shows up. Just did not come to the meeting. But Justin and I were there, so who do you think that the city of Rice Lake thinks that started the whole healthcare thing? The Alshires. And it says security system access. And Suzanne met with Toni and had her go through, and she was supposed to delete Darrel's access. And Toni refused and said she claimed that, well, Shane uses it. And that's why she couldn't delete Darrel. And Suzanne's like, unfortunately, I never followed back up, but I did ask her to delete him and she wouldn't. But this is where Toni, Shane, and Darrel start plotting and creating docs. Even though Darrel's not here, he's a shadow mayor. And fun little fact, got to keep our eye on the invoices because Darrel has been renting out the back office at City Hall. Supposedly, supposedly renting out. I know for a fact, I saw it with my own eyes, that his stuff is in there, and he's got like a whole ass desk and everything, and I think he had that spot when he wasn't even a council member. Super weird. He was always at City Hall. Something's weird. But we called him the Shadow Mayor. There was influence behind the scenes. It was crazy. Like, the things that Shane and Toni would say, there was no way that they couldn't have got pieces from Darrel. It's wild. But this is where, in January of 2025, Justin was filing some daily logs for the generator, and he discovered multiple documents pertaining to him. And these documents were found in Toni's drive, written as though it was Shane, but modified by Carly. And Justin's never been informed or spoken to about them. And he's like sees these documents. So, of course, we alert Suzanne right away. And she, and I quote, told me in an email back that Toni was mystified. The word mystified. Because Toni just did not know, like, she had never, she didn't even know about these documents, apparently, or something like that. It was it's another one of her acting gigs. Like, she's just gross. And February 2025, the third Loudermill attempt. A third Loudermill, can you believe it? Third Loudermill. Let me see if I can go find that one. Here it is. February 5th. And, one little thing about a breach of safety and work rules, and this January 29th, 2025 is going to appear on his last Loudermill as well, because they didn't get to fulfill their want to go after him. And when this came up, and Toni tried to do her normal thing and set up these meetings, this is when Suzanne, I think, really had caught on. And I think this is where Suzanne and Jamie, and I remember sending them an email both, like, pleading as a wife as a mom, just like, please make this stop already. Oh my gosh. Like, this is ridiculous. And the fact that you two women aren't even recognizing this behavior it's concerning. It's very concerning because, so they end up sitting Justin down for this one. And I think, and he's probably going to hate me for saying this, but I think this is where he like got a little emotional in front of Suzanne. And he was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, why does this keep happening? And that's where Suzanne pretty much freaking dropped the hammer on Toni and Shane and said, enough. And both her and Jamie, supposedly Jamie, had caught on that this is ridiculous. None of the other Justins are getting in trouble. This is just absurd. And so then she, you know, kind of stopped it before it even progressed after this Friday meeting. But I made sure to send Mr. Downey a message because Justin had told me that when he wrote him up specifically for this, he was talking really, really loud, like he wanted the cameras to hear him. And he said, dude, don't worry about it. Nobody goes in my file cabinet. I'm not going to put this on my computer so nobody can get it like this, like the last time. Like, he always is the innocent one. And I basically call him out, and he said, I have to keep this in my filing cabinet to cover my ass, otherwise we'll both get fired. And I say to him, Shane, you may be able to pull the wool over Justin's eyes with this whole thing, but I see right through your lies and your bullshit and what's really going on. You knew exactly what you were doing and what Toni would do given the chance. What the fuck is wrong with you? What did Justin ever do to you to deserve this? Do you honestly just dislike him that much? What went so wrong in your life that you feel like you need to hurt people? You A, can't grow up or grow a backbone and tell the powers that be that this is not okay. Or B, be a good man and at least try to throw him a bone and as a kind thing to do. Because I'm positive there were some people that have done that for you in your past. North Shore Mining, Jackson Incorporated. You didn't either. Then you try to act innocent when Justin asks you as if you didn't instigate the whole thing. You're a coward. Food for thought, Shane. When you were applying for this job, not only did I take the time to call Darrel and personally tell him that I thought you'd be a great fit, given our hometown background and your family, but Tyler E. reached out to Justin and said to put in a good word, and Justin did. He didn't even know who you were, but he trusted my opinion. Boy, was I wrong. I stuck up for you again at the budget meeting in August, which I have recorded, by the way, calling Darrel's micromanaging insulting to your position and disrespectful to you. Yet here we are again, just the same as last April, because you're just as toxic as Toni and this high school shit. Time to grow up, Shane. Be a man for once. I put in the words that help get you the job, and I have a lot of words that would help do the opposite, but I've been holding back just hoping you were the guy I thought you were. And then I said, is JR getting written up for any of these? We have dates, times, audio, because this is going to look awfully bad for you. So they were writing up Justin Alshire for a simple little chain, but Justin Rosencrantz props up a plow. You're not supposed to do this at all. Throws a bunch of cones around it. That sat there for like 2 to 3 weeks. This doesn't have its chain on, but he just put a bunch of cones around it. It's unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. So, that was the third Loudermill attempt, and that's where Shane and Toni were so unhappy, and they both threatened to quit. And I'm like, please, why didn't you? And that's where the donuts from the snake come in. It was this Valentine's Day, and right after that, Kim says, oh, great. I'm sure we're going to hear about that now, too. Yeah, you should, Kim. Because guess what? I hope you're next on the chopping block because they're going to go after somebody. They just have to find their target. And when it's you, don't come crying to me. March 2025, there is this new community talks with the mayor. And during it, I advocate for a peaceful 2025. I'm sitting right next to Jamie Heim. And I also raise the issue in fairness, just saying that, if we're going to have cameras that literally point at the public works desks, I think we need cameras in the communal space at City Hall. And you it was like I lit a fire in the middle of the room. It was unbelievable. I was like, no, we can't have that, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of got pushed off. Now, this is 2025, so Darrel's securing that LSC house build and then this is where it would have been secured for his workforce housing on Martin Road. And let's see, it says Suzanne heard a rumor that council was planning to vote her out for lack of confidence, and that is completely true. They were all starting to plot behind her back. Not kidding. And a lot of it, almost all of it, what I'm learning has a lot to do with the fact that she would not fire or go after Justin Alshire like they all wanted her to do. But I mean, now that she's gone and they got Jamie to do it, they're like, yay, we finally have a mayor that listens to us and is evil with us. And Jamie's like, I'm so great. Look at me. I did what they wanted me to do, which is completely evil. So April 2025, staff memo goes out. Or I should say, Jamie gave Suzanne a letter. It's called a letter / memo. This is where it gets kind of blurry because it's actually the same thing that was in the staff concerns, but of course it was perfectly edited. So when Suzanne got it, it talked about, bad staff or unproductive employees and all this stuff. But when the staff got it, which would have included Justin Alshire, it just happened to be missing those parts. Again, they know exactly what they're trying to do. But so this was from Mark Nemi, who helped, basically him and Carly wrote this, and it was supposedly outlined by staff. Bullshit. And then Suzanne let me know that he was, Mark Nemi was really upset after Suzanne told Shane to lay off Justin Alshire, just like leave him alone. And Mark got upset. It's like, how do you have the fucking right to get upset? You are a goddamn volunteer fire chief. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you even doing? Go away. You're annoying. Oh my gosh. And then May of 2025, all of a sudden the staff concerns email goes out. This is sent out by Carly, and it's like this, it's basically a rundown, and I could put it on here, but again, this thing is getting so long. But it kind of outlines all these things, the ridiculous things that were staff concerns and sent to all employees, and then all employees were supposed to respond to that, and then they were going to send it to Suzanne and Jamie, and then they were going to have a sit down. And basically, we just contacted Suzanne right away. She basically confirms that it's essentially the same exact thing that is outlined in the outline that she received, outline, letter, memo, whatever the hell you want to call it. It was just more brief and omitted the part about the unproductive employee aspect, obviously to avoid singling out Justin Alshire. And then so that's starting to like be a red flag for me, and I'm like, I'm not sure. This is kind of getting weird. And then in June of 2025, there is another community talks, and I follow up on the camera issue, and I was told specifically, not even kidding, Carly reared her head and was like, I don't want it in there because we have girl talks and we have and it's like, excuse me? You're a city employee. You're a public servant. You don't get to have girl talk on the clock. Okay? Like, no. So there's some other details in here. I gotta keep just moving on and focusing on our own story. But there was a staff meeting that was held with the talking points, and in there they talked about the public works cameras versus the city hall camera, and they were so adamant about not putting cameras in city hall that they moved the public works one. Unreal. And then Darrel on the 4th makes an obnoxious Facebook post boasting about all he does for the city of Rice Lake, and it was a real flag. Everybody was like, what? Like, he went from being a little pouty baby because he lost the election and literally like pretty much fell off the map. And then all of a sudden on June 4th, he's like back and he's proud and he's like, I've done this and I've done that. Look at me, I'm so great. And yeah, I donate all this stuff. And it's like, you know what? People that do it out of the goodness of their heart, just do it. They don't need to use it for any political moves. But on the 9th, John Hagstrom resigns, saying that he needs, and he was getting overwhelmed with his real job, but he tells the council they need to act fast. Keywords, they need to act fast in filling his seat. So there is more that's going to come out on all of this. I have a ton of stuff, but I have to pick and choose how to get through this timeline, and I can definitely circle back around to that because that has nothing to do with Justin's employment at all. So, Darrel is doing his shadow work, and on the 10th, he randomly shows up at the fire hydrant replacement on Nelson Road offering advice, which he later uses in his interview, implying that he was helping Public Works. And he can't stop. He just can't stop, he says. And then he was reappointed or selected on the 23rd out of 6 applicants. And then during the secretly recorded meeting on the 25th, Darrel assures Justin that there would be no issues, stating that we will always talk. And he held no ill will for the Alshire family. Not joking, says that on the 25th, 5 days later, after just assuring Justin that there was no ill will, Darrel, a then citizen, mind you, he has not been sworn in, uses his city email, which it's like, how the hell did you even have that, to contact Wade Rash, Toni Bloomdahl, and he was asking for this communication to give Wade Rash and the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department the videos from the meeting held on the 23rd. And it's in this exchange that Toni makes comments mentioning that someone yelling at a counselor, which is me, and which I did not yell, but the someone is me, and citizens, counselor and citizens, bringing up an allegation of a baby in a car during the meeting. It all implies me. The email further included the attached screenshots, explicitly intended to incite negative public commentary about me. So this is how he rallies the troops to say Tara's crazy. She's crazy. These screenshots featured that in this email, they referred to me as Crazy Tara. And they were laughing at how insane I am. And tell me where they got that idea. I wonder where they... And then Darrel claims when the monitor starts asking him, he says, those aren't my text messages. And it's like, oh, really? Well, then they're your wife's text message. And like, I don't even... this lady that called me Crazy Tara, never met her before in my life. Ever. Not once. We had a 20 to 30 second exchange in the parking lot, and that's it. Turns out she's a hairdresser, and I wouldn't doubt that she's Yvette's hairdresser. And so Yvette has probably filled her in or convinced her that I'm Crazy Tara. And there you have it. Like, that's how they just do that. So, for people who don't want to be smeared and slandered, they sure do a good job of doing it to the Alshire family. That's for sure. Now it's July 2025, because obviously that June meeting was towards the end of the month, and all sorts of hell is breaking loose. Now, mind you, I have no idea that Darrel and Toni, or Justin and I, have no idea that Darrel and Toni sent that stuff to the Sheriff's Department. But in July 2025, Suzanne resigns on the 7th, and it's the same day Darrel's getting sworn in. But on that specific day, he gets put back on the camera system login at 8:55 a.m. For what reason? He made a comment later on that he talks about that there was a situation at Public Works where he got there and there was emissions or some fumes or something like that, and that is a good thing that he was on that camera system. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell emissions are in City Hall besides toxicity from Toni? She's the only one giving off emissions. So, yeah, they only put him on the City Hall cameras, and it's all part of this whole thing because he is the reason why CPS was sent to our house. So, and again, a lot of this stuff I don't find out till after, so I'm putting the pieces backwards in for you. The new mayor is now Jamie Heim because she was the acting mayor, and they put up this letter. They called it, or they said that people were asking for a letter, so it gets deemed a letter a lot of the time, but it was actually like more like an outline. But that was given to Suzanne, and they said it was from a concerned citizen, which we all know was Mark Nemi. And it's like, so when it works for him to be part of the quote unquote staff, like he raises, I've been volunteering for 17, 18 years, blah, blah, blah. But then when he's a chicken, basically, on just saying, yeah, I gave that to her because he was supposedly so concerned for the staff. Anyway, he plays both sides, so whatever. On the 16th, so now this is again going backdating from stuff we get in the future, but we ended up getting the logs of the camera activity after I just did so many data requests. And on those logs, it was on the 16th, Darrel's first recorded like activities back on those cameras from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. And I'm just like, he was only put onto the City Hall cameras, so there's no reason for him to be on. It was really weird. And then on the 20th is when we found out later that there was a digital CPS report, which we found out to be Darrel. Specifically, it was Darrel. And I hate that I have to speed up through this whole thing, but I can talk about that later because this has nothing to do with Justin's employment, and it was specifically directed at the Alshire family. It has nothing to do with AFSCME. It has nothing to do, and it's all fact. It is all fact. So that's what the beauty of this is that I've never told the lies. So like they're trying to shut us up because they don't want people to know how nasty they are. But here's the deal: when you tell the truth, it is what it is. So on Saturday the 20th, Darrel filed a digital CPS report. He was the sole user logged into the system that entire weekend. It was a Saturday, guys, in the morning. Following the submission report, he remained logged into the system for like 2 hours after. And I bet you like he just probably made the report and then he watched the video. He's obsessed. He's just like Toni. They're really concerning people, like obsessively weird. And so on the 28th, I spoke at a council meeting. I said that we should not, because now there's another seat available, and I just said, hey, why don't we get somebody who's not intertwined in the city? And I knew that they were going to pick Jekka because he was on the freaking fire department, and he kisses ass, and it's like, oh God, here we go. I knew it. I also had questioned, during that meeting, I questioned the short-term rentals, and that's when I just showed that there was ironic timing with the attacks on our family. I acknowledged that it was the anniversary of June's death, and that was when they had first started talking about the donation of sick time. And I said that Justin would be donating a maximum of 40 hours. And yeah, so it was a very, big meeting. And on the 30th, we were contacted by CPS. And we immediately called the mayor. Justin went to City Hall at the end of the day for his data request form, and he recorded the whole conversation. And Carly and Toni were there. And Carly, I kid you not, for over an hour, like talk shit about me. For over an hour. She referenced me 61 times including saying Tara yelled at her, like that I yelled at her at the 28th meeting, which anybody who watched that clip, she's ridiculous. That's a joke. That is a wild joke. She's sensitive. And so this is when my investigation starts. And I'm like, nope, we're done. You went after my kids. We're fucking done. I'm doing data requests. You're done. You're done. I will find out everything. I will. That's just who I am. August 2025, we have the CPS meeting at our house. It was really short. Case was dropped quickly. We used this opportunity to tell them about our suspicions of who we thought reported it, because we hadn't got our data requests back yet. And we were spot on. It's wild. I have that recording too. And I should just throw everything out there because why not? And yeah, what do I have here? The public works staffing, city hall closure. Oh, at the budget meeting, when they were talking, this is where it kind of starts, and you can see the build. So follow me on this, because this goes all the way back to the CPS thing. And once I get a hold of Jamie, and then I basically start telling her, I know who did this, I think this is where she starts working, and they all start working together. Because by August 11th, at the budget meeting, they're starting to talk really heavily about the fourth public works worker. And Darrel specifically says that it needs to be skilled, or the person needs to be skilled and experienced, and they were talking about how, we might have to have it sooner than 2027, which would imply 2026. And in the future, you're going to hear them say that they need it sooner than 2026. They need it 2025. And it's just ridiculous. It's so easy to see on paper. I also, in this meeting, I learned about the death of Justin Rosencrantz's wife, who was sick. But I had to learn about it from this meeting because nobody told Justin Alshire. And like I reached out afterwards and told Mayor Heim, did everybody know about this? Because Justin Alshire sure didn't. And she said, oh, I think it was just an oversight and that he had not been previously notified. And I'm like, no, it was intentional. That's the way it always is. However, this is where, when you heard me talk about John Werner's funeral, okay? John Werner, the mayor, the guy that went to bat for City of Rice Lake, the guy that has done unbelievable amounts of things for the city. They closed the city for his funeral. Remember that? And it was like an unprecedented event. It was never going to happen again. Oh, no, it does happen again. For Justin Rosencrantz's wife. So a public works employee's wife. He's only been there for 3-4 years at that time. Or no, I'm sorry, 4 years, because he was in 2021. And they're going to close City Hall and let everybody attend the funeral for Justin Rosencrantz. And I could not help but thinking, if I died tomorrow, are you guys going to fucking close City Hall for me? For my funeral? Hell no! You know they wouldn't. You know that they would not do that for me. So it's whatever works for them, they're gonna do. If they don't like somebody, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's they just make it up as they go. And it's all Toni. And it's all just she comes up with the idea, and then council just is oh, Toni, you're so genius. We're just gonna agree with everything you say, Toni, because we just think you are irreplaceable. So yeah, can't stand that woman. Security camera policy starts changing, and it's never been an issue before. Never been an issue. But now that Toni sent videos to the sheriff's department and tried to literally ruin our lives with Darrel, and then I come back with data requests asking for videos, now all of a sudden we're going to change it. Let's change it. First, it was a 7-day retention. Then it's okay, you can't even fulfill a data request in that amount of time. You get 10 days to reply. Like, no. Then it went to 15. Then it ended up going back to the 20 days that it originally was. It's like, why didn't you just leave it alone? But the one thing that did change is now you can't even get the copy of the videos. You have to go view them in Toni's office. It's just a control tactic. It's her way of keeping her thumb on everything. September 2025, we finally we wanted to set up a meeting with Jamie Heim and Commander Rash. Now, mind you, we have not got these emails back yet. We don't even know that Commander Rash wants to tase me and is joking about it with Toni, all the things. We just wanted a meeting. We just wanted this to end. We just wanted it to just stop. And so we asked for a meeting, and we ended up having a 2-hour recorded meeting that you guys have all probably seen. Yeah, it was the Heart of the Beast. It's the episode 1, and it was on the 10th of September, and we went through everything. And I confronted Toni, and I said, why do you always go after our family? And like, she was just so confused. And then she denied, realizing that one of my data requests was specifically asking about her emails, and she basically implied she wasn't staff. And then we just looked at Mayor Heim and we said, we just wanted to stop. And if it doesn't stop, we're going public. Like, you have every opportunity, Jamie Heim, to stop this. And she didn't. She wouldn't, and she didn't. And so it probably gonna go down as the worst mayor in history, I hope. On that same month, I finally get on the 18th. So on the meeting on the 10th, we're with Commander Rash. I have no idea. I'm trying to fill him in, not knowing that there's a whole ass backstory. And then on the 18th, I receive the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department data request that I asked for. And it contained the complete exchange, as it should, with the slanders attached, the screenshots and whatever. And on the 25th, I finally receive the data request back from City of Rice Lake, which was the exact same one, but she redacted all of Darrel's stuff. And she had no right, because you can't do that. And it just constantly proves, you guys, like, all I want to do is get this out there so everybody knows the kind of person that she is. She is intentional on everything she does. And whether it's intentional evil or intentional overconfidence, thinking that she's smart, but she's actually kind of stupid on a lot of stuff, it's crazy. It's wild. Rolling into October 2025, this is when, on October 13th, because I've got all these data requests, I got one back, and it said that Carolyn Hagstrom's file had been destroyed. Now, I wanted Caroline's and Teresa Koivula's. One, I already told you about the Teresa Koivula thing. I wanted to back check that and just, reach out to her, but I wanted all the details before I did that. And then specifically Caroline's, because I just, something felt off. Something felt off about John Hagstrom transitioning to just resigning, and then Darrel taking, it just felt fake, and it was, and I have all the proof, and I'm going to come out with that later, but that has nothing to do with Justin's employment, so we'll talk about that later. There was, let's see, on the 23rd, following a mandate with the council, Toni emailed a list of the names. Oh, so anyway, on the 13th, I go to the council meeting, and I noticed that there was records destruction that was going to happen. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I see records destruction, and I want to know who those names are, because there are some employee files, and I specifically was told that one of the data requests that I got back said they were destroyed, and I just want to make sure. Oh my gosh, Carly, in her little bitchy voice, do you want my work file too? And then she tries to have an intervention with me, like her and Mike Jecka tried to sit down and talk to me after. I was really sick. I'm actually sick right now, but And I was just like, ugh, I was exhausted. And it was just like, all I kept getting met with was disgusting behavior. And I just was like, I gotta keep trudging through this. I just gotta keep trudging through this. And lo and frickin' behold, I get that email because thank you, Mike Hendrickson. He said, can we make sure she gets a list of the names? Well, guess whose name was on there? Caroline Hagstrom's. Yeah, would have been destroyed. Would have never been followed up. Never probably would have told Tara nothing. And yeah, she had to tell me. And then she conveniently says that, oh, I didn't realize it was in that box. It's like, oh, okay. So every time you mess up, it's like, I didn't realize it was a mistake. And da, da, da. But if Justin does anything wrong, if he goes to the bathroom and doesn't zip his fly, you're going to send him home. It's unreal. So in the end of October, this is when we're starting to get into the more termination parts, because on the 29th, there was a supposed allegation of a recorded verbal warning that Justin Alshire got regarding Washington Road ditching grass curbs. It's a complete lie because it never happened. And Justin didn't find out about this until we were in the 4th Loudermill and doing data requests to try to retrieve some of this stuff. And then magically it's like in his chart. And he's like, this never happened. I don't understand how this just appears. And he went to City Hall on December 5th to ask for his personal file. It was not in there. And then it just appears after. And then Toni does her thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it wasn't in the digital chart, but it was. It's like, oh, okay. Once again, you're just sorry. No, mistake. No, you didn't have that at that time, and you didn't produce it because it's fake. So you fabricated it, and then you put it in after. November 2025, this is where Mayerheim starts like doubling down. And she is now talking in her mayoral report about rideabouts, basically tours with Toni and Darrel plotting in private in the car. That's why I brought up dash cams. Because I'd love to get those. I mean, everybody should know what is said in those rideabouts. And then they said that they need that 4th public works employee sooner than 2026. Last August, it was sooner than 2027. Now it's sooner than 2026. In the same meeting, Mayor Heim ironically spoke about ditching in grass curbs. And this is the first available meeting following this supposed write-up verbal warning that happened October 29th. They were just laying the groundwork. They just needed to cross T's, dot I's. On the 12th, Seth Werner application was submitted after no public advertisement of the position, just more nepotism. And then on the 13th, the Duluth Monitor contacts Toni Bloomdahl, Mark Beamy with questions about the CPS report. And we said, we're like, Mayor Heim, we told you 3.5 months ago, if you don't do anything, we're going public. We did it. She failed to act, and this is what happened. So Darrel actually was reported to OSHA on his Martin Road projects that exact same day. He probably thought it was us. We had entirely nothing to do with it. We didn't even know about it till after the fact when I was like, holy crap, they're trying to fire Justin. And then that little piece kind of came out of the woodwork. But I was like, I know he's going to blame us. I know he's going to, or he probably blamed us and thought it was us, and we didn't do it. The Monitor reaches out to Darrel with questions on the 18th, and Darrel, he also asks about multiple other issues, like how is he using a city email when he's not even a council member. This is, okay, so now we're into, Darrel had placed such a strong importance on that 4th public works worker needed to be experienced, yet Seth Werner was interviewed and hired on the 19th. Submits application on the 12th. Boom, interviewed and hired with 0 prior experience. Doesn't sign up with the union, and he was put in Justin Alshire's truck. Tell me this wasn't their plan to replace him. I even reached out to Seth's dad in an attempt to basically be like, hey, I don't want any ill will. I've always loved your dad, which, obviously is Seth's grandpa. And I said, but this is a strategic plan to replace Justin. And he just was like, nope, no, this is not, Seth has nothing to do with that, whatever. I'm like, oh God, you're drinking the Kool-Aid too, dumbass. Like, what? Okay. Well, I hope you say sorry when all of the stuff comes out because you're gonna look like a fool. And he really does look like a fool for not believing or even attempting to. But he knows how nasty Toni is. And I have a little tidbit on that, but I'm going to keep it in my pocket in case he ever wants to apologize. So, council agenda for the 24th was posted listing a closed special meeting. And guess who that was about? Justin Alshire. Didn't say it, but I got him. I got him to admit it. Seth begins working that same day at Public Works. Justin Alshire had no notifications, no nothing about a new hire or what the plan was, nothing. All of a sudden, Seth is there and he's just working. Nobody says, hey, we're going to welcome Seth Warner to the crew, or it was super sketchy, super weird, super uncomfortable. They always make Justin out to be the outside guy, like he's so bad. It's so bad. But when Justin asks Shane, and we have this recorded too, hey, like, I saw the council meeting has such and such on this, like, do I need to know anything? Is this about me? And Shane responds with a complete lie and says, no, I think it's about Carly. She's got lots of people complaining. And so it's probably about her, even though he knew exactly what it was about. And that was the evening that they had their first closed meeting. The monitor actually emailed the mayor and cautioned her about discussing his inquiries because you can't do that. And her reply was just rude, per usual, implying that she was fully aware of her boundaries. Okay, Jamie, you and your master's degree. You're so smart. December 2025, there is a second closed meeting, and this is a closed meeting on the 3rd. Now, this wasn't in an agenda. Justin just happened to be at City Hall and looks at the bulletin board, and there's a frickin' notice of a meeting. And the crazy thing is that when you go forward and you start looking at these Loudermills that are about to come into play, if this meeting was on the 3rd, and then he sent home on the 5th, the only 2 bullet points on that first Loudermill were November 10th, November 19th, or 4 bullet points. 10th, the 19th, the 3rd, and the 4th. But if they had their second meeting on the 3rd, that means the 3rd and the 4th hadn't even happened yet. So they were literally nitpicking over the 10th and the 19th, which end up being dropped altogether from the quote-unquote amended Loudermill. They had a plan to remove Justin Alshire, and it took 2 meetings to convince the council to do it, and they're all just sheep, so they did exactly what Toni and Darrel needed them to do, and Jamie Heim was at the helm, and they're brainwashed. This is when things start moving kind of quickly. So on December 4th, Toni and Darrel just happened to do a walkthrough at Public Works when Justin Alshire was putting the skid steer back. Justin Shindell takes the same skid steer out around 1:30 to move snow. It's December, you guys. It's dark by like 4 o'clock. He supposedly tells Shane that the headlights weren't working, but continued to use it into the dark with 0 repercussions. However, the next day, Shane is quoted on a recording telling Justin Alshire that he had to park it. The reason why he parked it is a safety deal. And it's like, okay. So when these headlights didn't work for Justin Alshire inside the shop where he has overhead lights, and he didn't check them, but then when Justin Alshire used it inside the shop, but when Justin Shindell uses it outside the shop in the fucking dark with no headlights, no big deal. You just keep using it, bud. And then tomorrow, I'm going to send Justin Alshire home because this was unsafe. Even though I let Justin Shindell use it unsafely. Supposedly. No. I don't I honestly don't think Chandel even said anything. I personally think they just tried to find something. And these data requests have not been fulfilled yet, by the way, mind you. They got denied by me. They weren't fulfilled to the union representative asking to see the video of Chandel using the skid steer. And I find it ironic because I want to know, like, one, did those headlights work? I want to see that video. I want to know if those headlights worked. Or I want to see Chanel telling Shane that they didn't work. And then I want to see Chanel also using the equipment in the dark with no headlights. I want any of those things I can handle. Like, just send me the video. So you know I'm going to be asking for that because that, again, doesn't have anything to do with Justin's employment. That is just a data request of a citizen wanting to know some information about the Public Works employees. So yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna get it. On the 5th, Friday, Justin Alshire's in the grader. Shane tells him to return to Public Works, and he tells him, I've been informed that you will be going home today. And he talked about these pre-op books that were on order, but they still haven't got yet. And when Justin Alshire asked if this was Toni and Darrel behind this, if anybody else knew, he said that doesn't matter. And then Justin Alshire also asked if those lights weren't checked by anyone else before I used it, are they going home too? Shane responded, I don't know, you'll have to ask. It's like, okay, so I ask you if anybody else knows, you say it doesn't matter, then I ask you if somebody else is going home because you've been informed to send me home, and then you say, I don't know, you'll have to ask. So clearly you're not in charge of anything. Like, you're just a puppet. Okay. So on Monday the 8th, so that was a Friday the 5th, Monday the 8th, Justin goes back to work. And he's met at the door with the Loudermill upon his arrival, which had the 4 bullet dates, and it was November 10th, the 19th, the 3rd, and the 4th. Like I said, if they had a meeting on the 3rd, on the 24th of November, and the 3rd, they would have only been able to talk about the 10th and the 19th being an issue. So now all of a sudden they have the 3rd and the 4th on there. And he was also banned from city property, and which is interesting because that same day they had a safety meeting. I find that funny. And that was the same day as a council meeting. So in the public discussions, I inquire about the missing meeting minutes from the 24th and 3rd. And I said, without naming him, I said that was it the same subject on both meetings? And Jamie Heim confirmed. And I said, okay, well, with the statute that was being used, if discipline was placed, you have to reveal the minutes. And she responds like, well, it was my understanding he's on paid leave, right? Now, mind you, I never said Justin Alshire. So she just confirmed that the topic was the same on the 24th and the 3rd. And then I said, if discipline was placed, and then she says, well, he was on paid leave. So she just confirmed that both times on the 24th and the 3rd, they talked about Justin Alshire. They had a plan to remove him. Period. End of story. They're very corrupt. And then there was a holiday party, of course, during this time. And because Justin was banned from city property, I attended because it was a quorum. It was on the 9th. And I also let the Duluth Monitor know and a couple other people know. I intentionally wanted to make them uncomfortable, because they have ruined so much of our life. I wanted to ruin their little holiday party. And of course, Mark Beanie was there. He's the only one from the fire department there, but he's there because he's staff. Well, he thinks he is. He just decides when he's like, today I'm going to be a staff. Tomorrow I'm going to be a concerned citizen. The next day, I might just be a volunteer. Not sure. Not sure what I want to do. And then, so they had the first Loudermill meeting, not first Loudermill, the Loudermill hearing, the first one, on the 10th. And it was closed, obviously, but it was from 2 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. And they were reviewing videos with Toni and Shane, and they could hardly explain them. Like, Mike Jecka is even recorded saying is this it? Is this all there is? Like, and Shane's head was down. I always say that he's in his coloring book because he's such a coward. And then at that meeting, Toni asks for Justin's city phone password. So, I mean, they already are planning to get rid of him. I mean, seriously, come on. And then, so there's pretty much nothing that comes out of the 10th meeting. And then on the 11th, Toni emails at 9:30 a.m. postponing the disciplinary meeting that was scheduled for 4 p.m. the next day, blaming the data requests from the union rep, which she's never fulfilled anyway. And this is when she really started digging. So she's blaming the data requests from the union rep, yet she still, to this day, in March 26th today, she has not fulfilled those data requests. And so this is when they started digging because I think her plan got fudged up. I don't think Shane was supposed to, I don't know. I don't care. I hate them all. On the 12th, the Monitor posted the video of the 49ers union rep at City of Rice Lake, and Mayor Heim asked for the source. Like, first of all, you don't do that. And then she goes even further to create a Facebook post on the 15th that was an obvious cover-up to minimize Shane's actions. But here's the thing. Because she's talking out of both sides of her mouth and she wants to fire Justin, but she wants to not give him any grace, but she wants to protect Shane Downey, who is evil as the day is long, she excuses his behavior by saying, yes, he should have done that, but hindsight is 2020. Oh, okay. So hindsight is 2020 for Shane, but not for Justin Alshire in any form or fashion. Okay. Got it. On the 29th, there was an amended Loudermill letter that was sent out, and it included a link to a shared drive folder. It had the list of all of the it was crazy long. It went from 4 to like 1 million. And it didn't, when you were on this shared drive, you couldn't download and you couldn't print. So you had to like always go back and refer to it, which honestly did us a favor because we were in there all the time. And I quickly realized, I'm like, holy crap, this is a live drive. I just watched edits be made. And I was like, oh my God, I don't think she knows this. And she didn't. Toni was not aware. So we went super quiet. So at first we were responding and Justin was like asking questions via email about why is the personnel file different than the one he got. But then we're like, you know what? We're just going to hunker down because she doesn't realize this is live. And we're just going to watch her do her thing. And sure shit, she gave us everything we needed because the situation, it was almost identical to when Justin inadvertently discovered those safety violations on the drive that they didn't realize they were there. It's like, I don't know if somebody needs to come in and teach you guys how to use live drives and cloud devices, but you really should be more careful. And they will now moving forward, but it worked out to our favor because we could see everything that she was doing. And in real time, that's when she added stuff. I think I talk about it in the future, but oh no, I'm getting to it. So in January 2026, now we're into January. So she sends this live drive out. Now it's January. Now we're getting ready for the second hearing. Now this is on January 6th, and the union rep said they can't do this. Essentially, this amended Loudermill, you can't do it. It's called double jeopardy, basically. Not those exact words, but that's kind of to give you an understanding. You can't retry somebody with completely different bullet points on something different when they've already answered the questions on the first one. And the crazy part is that they brought the attorney into this one, but the attorney wasn't in on the 10th. They didn't fill the attorney in on anything that he should have been aware of from the 10th. And then, on top of that, it was like all this fabricated stuff that she had dug up. And Anyway, this was where 30 minutes prior to the meeting even happening, Justin and I noticed that there were new questions that were added as we were like studying and like helping him get ready. There was specific questions that got added about the Duluth Monitor, which is a local media, and it said question number 8, and they were uploaded 30 minutes before this meeting. And it was clear retaliation for the whistleblower with the union video. The text messages from Justin Rosencrantz, specifically, they were just targeting Justin Alshire and asking, like, about sharing the 49er video, the group text message, and was it his intent to disrupt the efficiency of city operations or to disrespect your supervisors or harm their reputations? And it's like, oh my God, what have you been doing to Justin Alshire the whole time? Unbelievable. She is so blind to her own behavior. It's not even funny. And then after that meeting, 1 hour after the meeting concludes. So unless HR hung out after and made a decision right away, which they said they didn't because I asked them at the next meeting. So there was a screenshot. I took a screenshot because she started creating another document, and it was written as if the HR had wrote it, and she said the HR committee said discipline was justified. Like they had already decided. He didn't even answer any questions at this meeting. They just were like, no, we're going to discipline him anyway. She had already decided. And this was just the going through the motions for them, but yeah, they already decided. The things that she asked in this, or that she had ready to go, ready to fire off, were like super condescending. Like, does this truck have a horn? Do you know how to honk the horn? I mean, yeah, I can't even get into that part because it makes me so mad. In the last portion, before she added the Duluth Monitor part, she gets super gross when she's talking about the Washington Road ditching and asked, was it your incompetence, your disobedience, or a combination of both? And it's like, oh, bitch, please. Really? And the craziest part is you guys, you know that the council read all of this. You know they did. They've read all this. And if they didn't read it then, they've read it now. I've thrown everything in their face to make them be aware, and they're still like, nope, we still believe Toni. We're still good. No. Unbelievable. I hope that they can't sleep at night. I really hope they can't. And when they meet their maker, I hope they have to ask for forgiveness. There's a public plea on the 12th. Justin spoke during public discussions at a council meeting, and he basically said, last time I was here, I asked the same thing. When is this going to stop? I followed by saying, like, now the data requests are being counted and controlled and used against the taxpayers because you're going to, like, I have waited 3 years to even make data requests, and I didn't do it until you went after my kids. Now I did it, and I'm calling you out on everything, and now you're going to start counting them and trying to use them as Toni worked so hard. It's a constant fight with these guys. It's constant. And you have to stay on your toes. On the 20th, a new email was sent, and it was retitled as, instead of Loudermill, it was a performance review. And all of the added number 8 concerning the monitor was deleted magically, which only further proves the whistleblower aspect. And yeah. Anyway, the data request fee on the 22nd, the data request policy suddenly changed. And she said it was existing, but I've never seen this anywhere. It was a $500 deposit for even viewing the records. Okay, Toni, okay. On the 26th, I spoke at a public discussion exposing Tony's audacity, because I knew we were days away from Justin's termination, which we already knew because we could see the live drive. And we didn't tell them that we could see the live drive by this point. So I wanted to make sure I did it in front of everybody. And I would give money to look at her face again when she looked like she saw a ghost. It was amazing. But I pointed out, I said, I don't know if Toni realized that was a live drive. And that her undermining the HR committee by creating their decision and showing her constantly rude, condescending behavior towards Justin Alshire that Toni thought was private. I mean, just the fact that she's allowed to talk to the council about the employees that way is concerning. But I voiced that Toni makes all the decisions and the council allows it, and that Toni has proved that she can't be trusted. And she is an embarrassing representation of the city. Then, this is wild. We didn't find this out till after, but I'm going to go over it really quickly. On the 28th, I had reported it wrong. I originally was told that it was the same day as Justin's 29th meeting. It wasn't. That was the day that the resident went to jail. The altercation happened on the 28th. So the day before Justin's meeting, we learn that Justin Schindel was using a city plow truck on the clock to plow his mother's driveway. They try to say that he was pushing banks back. Bullshit. He plows the whole thing. He had, and apparently this 67-year-old neighbor that had always watched him do this and knew that he was abusing the city property and time, he had confronted him, and he just said, like, you're not supposed to be doing this. Well, apparently, and obviously there's more details, but they get in an altercation, doesn't even park the truck, doesn't put it in park, pushes this guy into a snowbank, grabs his shoes, grabs this 67-year-old shoes and throws them into the woods. Like, okay, tough guy. He initially lied to the sheriff about the incident, and then the resident was taken to jail the next day. However, the sheriff's report shows that he later admits to plowing the driveway. And when this was all happening, this was like the day before Justin's getting ready to be fired. The city of Rice Lake doesn't even do an investigation with the city. He doesn't get sent home on administrative leave. Unbelievable. And then, like, fake write-ups are put into his file after I asked for the data request for their files. He reportedly says that he doesn't want union representation. Dude, you just, like, there's a sheriff's report, and you're not going to at least, like, hey, let me give my union rep a heads up in case this backfires on me. Oh, my God. So, he knew he was safe. He knew he was safe from serious consequences. That's the way it always is. He was probably just a little light on the hand, or like a light tap on the hand. But on this write-up in his chart, it just seriously says, like, not to misuse city equipment again. There was no discussion of assaulting a citizen. Nothing. And then, obviously, the next day, and this is where we're going to end it, was the special meeting held for Justin Alshire on the 29th. We requested it to be open, but Toni still does it wrong. And we also requested the OWL camera to record the proceedings because I wanted it on record. But had they done it the way they were supposed to do it, or they were wanting to do it, they would have been hit with public humiliation. I mean, which we still can. But Don Erickson saw that. He saw it a mile away, and that's why the whole meeting got restructured, because he pulled the union rep off to the side. He said, what the hell is going on? Because they keep just blindsiding him with all this shit that he's supposed to just clean up. So, yeah, we go there, and we had already told them that we knew that they were going to fire him. And I had brought all this stuff that I was going to put on the big screen, and then Heather gets pulled into the chambers, and basically we went back and forth until we agreed that we would just skip the grievance steps 1 through 4, going straight to like mediation to just like speed up everything. and we figured this was probably our only opportunity to do that. And because the arbitration for wrongful termination, that was already in the works. Like Heather was already on top of it. And they gave Justin 10 minutes to speak. He only used 4 of that, and then he was fired. So that's the timeline, people. I hope, oh my God, it probably won't even get any watches, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to put it out there because I've said it, and I'll say it again. Today is March 26, 2026, and now it can forever live online. So if I ever have to reference it, it's already there. I already said it. You can go to there and you can look at this. You can pause the screen. You can read all the details. But I needed to do this, and I needed to do it today. So I appreciate the heck out of you guys. If there's anybody that's even at this point, if you've done it in chunks or if you binged the whole thing, I commend you. I missed a lot of details because of being put on the spot. This was a decision that we had to make last night as far as pushing this video out today. And so there's plenty of stuff I can still talk about. And, obviously I am not the employee. My name is not Justin Alshire. I can speak all the truth I want, and anything that has to do with me and my family, I can talk about whatever I want that way, for sure. So, we needed to do this, and I'm so sorry it's so long. I hope that you can read between the lines and understand why we had to do it. But I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you soon.